Right now, we've got a crash blocking the right lane just east of downtown. It's 40 westbound after Fessler's Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Welcome in and good afternoon. It is Wednesday, January 8th. You probably knew that. It's 2025. I certainly hope you knew that. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We've got 4 hours together. I certainly hope you spend every single moment with us on Super Talk. Whatever platform you might be listening or watching on, I thank you for it. Maybe you're listening on the radio side of things. 100,000 watts of blowtorch power from Alabama to Kentucky and all points in between in Middle Tennessee. Of course, you can find us on a variety of streaming applications, whether it's TuneIn or iHeart or any point in between there. You can find us. Just type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN. And if you find an app that we're not on where you download and stream, podcast or music or information or news, let us know and we'll get on there. And then, of course, there's our own app. We would invite you to do that. Just download our app on your smartphone, which works. More on that in a moment. And take us wherever you go. And then there's YouTube TV, there's Facebook, there's a Twitter, and a Twitch. I call it Twitter when I announce Super Talk TV because I like the way it flows off the tongue. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. It is also known as the X Machine, and we're up and running at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch on this episode 724 of our proceedings together on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As you can see, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, it is locked for Trump Day 312. 312 days now. I've been growing out my hair in anticipation of a second term of Donald J. Trump. Originally, I was going to cut it after he became president-elect, but I said no, nay. I shall grow it until at least Inauguration Day. And here we are, 312 days later, and it's still growing. Got a couple of compliments on my hair earlier this morning, and I'll tell you about that coming up in just a moment. Now, behind the glass, of course, there's Chris Webber. He's doing great work. I don't know what he's doing over there, but he's very focused on it, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. Hello, Mr. Webber.
Hi there.
How are you?
Doing good.
Ken Weaver's back in the newsroom. Sometimes he slides away right after a newscast. Sometimes he does not. One way or the other, he's back there gathering headlines as we speak. I can't see him.
Depends on how much coffee I've had.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. We ought to, I would think, with all of the dramatic construction-based improvements that they're making in the newsroom.
Yeah.
I would think that they would just add a little porta potty right there in the corner.
You know what? That would work because this door is too heavy for anybody to pull open. And I can slide right over here by my little Asian plant.
It is.
Nobody can see me.
It is one of my favorite oddball amusements in this studio to not tell people how heavy the damn doors are and watch them.
Yes.
Because
they'll push, pull.
Right.
Nothing works.
And then they're like, and then sometimes they'll just look at it like it's locked. And then just push it.
Sorry, on the air.
Can't. No. And most people know when you're on the air not to come in. Not me. I'll bust right in there, Weaver. I don't care.
That's all right, Brother Murphy.
I blame Chris Webber. He let me. So I'm a little discombobulated today. Lots to get into and lots to do, obviously. And we're going to talk about the wildfires out in California and the other news of the day going on. But I'm a little discombobulated. We're all going to find out together if Murphy's in a good mood or not. Because, Chris, the download is complete.
Uh-oh. All right.
So I'm not a guy that likes my cheese moved. I do not suffer my cheese being moved gladly. And so when crap goes wrong or something's weird, you and I were talking about this, Ken.
Yeah.
That when the YouTube, we are so spoiled. We are such spoiled human beings that when the YouTube TV don't work right, I'll go off real quick.
Oh yes,
jiffy quick. And my cheese got moved earlier today. I am embarrassed to tell you how addicted I am to my cell phone. I'm embarrassed to tell you. And I blame it on work. but it's not all work.
Nah.
It's not all work. Let's be honest. But I am completely absorbed with and addicted to my cell phone. So with that in mind, my cell phone started screwing up earlier, but it was only screwing up in one very specific and particular way. My messages. So I use text message far more than I talk on my phone. If I never talked on my phone again, that would be fine.
Yeah, same here.
He sounded like he meant like to me, didn't he? You notice that?
Brother Chris means anybody.
I think so, yes.
I don't want to be talking to you guys right now. But the job requires it, so here I am.
Isn't that nice? Well, so I don't really talk on the phone anymore, but I will text in copious amounts on the phone. And so I could not, for some reason, my messages wouldn't pull up. And when the messages, all right, dismiss that. When the messages did pull up, it just was a blank screen. It was very odd.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
And I was showing Weber every avenue of troubleshooting that I went down on my laptop computer was stymied based on the nature of the screw up. Because it said, "Oh, you just go to the settings screen and you hit messages, and then you toggle it on and off, and then you're fine."
Yeah, you big dummy. Don't you know this?
Idiot. And so I go to the settings screen and I go to the messages page and I hit messages, and it just acts like I didn't do anything. It just sits there.
Yeah, weird.
All right, so I've not tried this. I'm going to try it live. What I did discover, because you did have a good idea, Chris. You said, first you said, have you turned it off and turned it back on, which... Mm-hmm. Hold on, I have to sneeze.
I love sneezing. It's like scratching an itch.
Thank you. Pardon me. And pardon me for sneezing on all of you. So I did. I had turned it off and turned it back on to no avail. But then you mentioned something about a software update.
Yeah.
Whew. Another one.
Twofer.
Wow.
You mentioned a song. I think I'm allergic to Dan Mandis. I think that's what it is. I'm not allergic to Chris Hand. I'm not allergic to Chad Benson. I like him too. It's got to be Dan.
You think there's enough Mandis particles still floating around in there this time of day?
I mean, look at around. Look at around. I mean, he would. You know what? I'm not going to give him any grace. He gets no free port here because he was complaining about my hairs. On Nashville's Morning News, in front of God and everybody on a 100,000-watt radio station, this grown man's complaining about another grown man's hairs. And I'm thinking, jealousy, thy name is Mandis.
That's right.
Right?
That's what it looks like.
That's what it seems
outside,
like.
you know.
All right, this is all a big build-up to going. So I saw where there was a software update. Specifically, it said to fix bugs and glitches. And a download is like extremely recommended. So let's find out together. Ready? Uh-oh. I think it's working.
All right.
It's doing things.
Although I might get a sneezing fit. All right, so I'm going to attempt to message Chris Weber. Let's see if this works. If this works, everybody give me a nice thumbs up. All right, so do you get, even though you're not on the iPhone, do you get the little emojis? You get those?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how you people live.
Us barbarians.
You monsters. Yeah. All right.
Got a little thumbs up from Matt Murphy.
It worked.
He's back, baby.
That's what I need. I'm back. So any and all text messages, feel free to take me away from my focus on the radio show. Thank you very much. Speaking of focus on the radio show, John Rich will stop by at 3:35 this afternoon via phone. I saw John earlier today, and I'll tell you a little more about that in a moment. Similarly, we will also speak with Cameron Smith. He'll be here at 4 o'clock today during his weekly visit. He writes for the Tennessean, and we'll talk to him about what is happening, what's going on in the world of the Tennessean and in the world of national politics. We'll dive into that into the 4 o'clock hour. Your telephone calls, of course, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. Now, in all seriousness, my nose was running a lot yesterday, and my nose has not run all day long today. I took a bunch of medicine last night. I thought I was getting sick. And as soon as I'm in this room, my nose is running again.
Ooh.
So I do think it's something. I think
in there.
It's got to be something in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking it's Chad Benson's perfume. That's what I think it is. Is that what we call it? I don't use
Oh,
it.
I didn't catch a whiff, so I don't know what his scent is. So.
I mean, well,
he may be wearing parfum.
I mean, if dudes wear it, right? It's still perfume. It still smell good. We used to call it stuff. We used to use language that I can't use in polite company on the radio about that type of stuff. But I've never used. Do you use?
I own some, but I've had it for probably 3 years, and I've used maybe that much of it. I just never remember to put it on
Special occasions.
if I remember.
Yeah, I
don't think about it.
I don't use.
I smell good enough as it is.
I got some.
Do you now?
This is from Jerry Minshew.
Yeah, Matt doesn't know about Jerry.
Yeah, it's a little half bottle full of Ice Sport Aqua Velva.
Oh well,
That'll put hair on your chest.
Aqua. I didn't realize it.
Cooling
Kid.
aftershave.
I didn't realize who I was dealing with. I didn't know that I was
You can
dealing
use
with
that for paint stripper as well.
And this right here,
Aqua Velva, man.
this right here says it's now vitamin enriched.
Jerry Minshew, by the way, Matt, is kind of like our own version of Walter Cronkite.
Yes.
He's an old school newsman.
Best,
Oh, yeah.
one of the best storytellers you'd ever know.
And you received the Aqua Velva from aforementioned Mr. Mills?
No, I believe he left it.
He just left it behind.
Oh, okay.
He just left it behind. He was old school in the fact that he had like an emergency newsman kit ready to go. Toothbrush, toothpaste, comb.
What?
I think there might have been a mirror.
Just in case a breaking news story
Just in
kept him
case
away.
it's breaking news. Wore a shirt, tie, and suit to work every day.
Good for him. Good for him.
He was a
Now,
class act. Man.
Was he here at Super Talk back in the day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was here. He was here since I've been here. So within
Oh,
the
okay.
last decade, he was here.
And did you guys overlap, Weaver?
Yes.
That's awesome. I love. I mean,
Great guy.
I mean, I don't feel you have broken the mold, Ken Weaver, and I mean this with the maximum amount of love and appreciation and applause that I can give you. You've broken the mold with regard to the manner in which you do the news, and I absolutely love it.
Well, thank you.
But I don't know that I would call you a Walter Cronkite style newsman.
Well, he shaved.
Well, true enough. True enough. But I appreciate those old school dudes that wore the
yes.
that wore the ties all the time.
Yes.
I wore a tie when I got my gig in Birmingham, Alabama. I was offered an opportunity to do a talk show and do the afternoon news. I was kind of doing double duty.
Woo.
I know. And I wore a tie every day for the first 6 months. Nobody else wore a tie. Nobody else wore a button-down shirt. We're in radio after all, and this was way before the days of YouTube and all of that. And finally, my general manager called me into his office one day and said, "Let me ask you a question." He said, "You know you don't have to do that, right?"
Right.
And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, the tie. He said, feel free to dress down a little bit if you want to. And I said, "Okay, well, thank you very much, Steve." And he said, "By the way, why do you wear a tie every day?" And I said, "Because you bought the tie." And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, the way that I look at it, when you first met me, and I sat down in front of you, and I asked you for a job, I was wearing a tie. So I feel like you bought, in part, the tie.
Mm-hmm.
When you bought me. When you said you want me, part of the package was the tie. So until you tell me otherwise, the tie comes with it. Now, I'm not wearing the tie anymore. Now, I've long since lost that nature about me.
I used to do that, Brother Murphy, whenever I first got here, man. I wore a tie every day,
you gotta do what
and
you gotta do.
I had the same conversation with my boss here.
Man,
It
why
was
you-
Brother Dan Mandis.
Oh, wait. Why are you wearing a tie every day?
Hey, that's what he said.
You trying to show us up?
See, I just showed up in shorts and T-shirt and said, "Hey, what you see is what you get."
This is what is radio, man.
Actually, I started getting too fat, and it was choking me.
I had my first program director. Well, my first program director. I was working a country music radio station, the first full-time job that I ever got in radio, 7 to midnight on US 107 in Augusta, Georgia. And Bob Raleigh was my program director.
Yes, sir.
And I asked Bob Raleigh. This is before the Steve Armstrong, shirt and tie deal. I asked Bob. I said, "Do we have a dress code?" And he said, "Matt Murphy, this is radio. If you do a good job and get good ratings naked with a banana between your cheeks, I don't care." That's what he said. I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "That banana's not required." "No." "Okay. All right. Well, then in that case, so be it." Theater of the mind, everybody. Theater of the mind. I am wearing a jacket today, and I'll tell you why, because it's a very special occasion, as we did attend a funeral for someone that I never met and never knew prior to this weekend. But I want to talk about it in just a moment. It's 3:20. This is The Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for our friends at Tennessee Men's Clinic. You know, guys, if you're feeling low down, run down, sluggish, if 2025 has not started out the way that you wanted it to, or if you've noticed that you've had issues in 2024 with low energy, maybe you just weren't feeling it during the holidays, perhaps this has manifested itself in bedroom activity. I understand that type of thing is a very personal thing, and I would never try to get into your business, but I am telling you this. If you have noticed a lack of desire or drive, men, let's nip this in the bud by calling Tennessee Men's Clinic. Tennessee Men's Clinic has 2 locations to serve you, so there's no excuses on that front. One's in Cool Springs, the other in Midtown. They've been around for well over 10 years now, helping men just like you overcome some of these low T issues. And if that's what it is, there are simple solutions available for you. 615-208-9090 to get diagnoses from one of their qualified urologists today. That's 615-208-9090, or go online to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
An arrest in our nation's capital. A man with a machete in his bag. Details at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken Weaver. 25 minutes after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy, Chris Weber, Ken Weaver, you. Thank you for being there. 615-737-9986. I know some of you are just getting accustomed to us in the afternoon, or me in the afternoon hours. As we just cranked up official starting on Monday. So just know this, all comers are welcomed either via the Super Text line or on the phone lines at any time and at any moment. On Monday through Thursday, we ask that you perhaps limit the conversation to subject matters that are brought up by your humble host. On Friday, I just open it up for anybody and everybody. So 615-737-9986. We try to get the telephone calls as they come in. We would love to hear what you have to say about the news of the day. So I'll get to the California wildfires that are raging across Los Angeles County. Thousands of people have been forced to evacuate their homes. The Pentagon has now been called in because, sadly, California has misdirected its money for so many years that they do not have the appropriate resources to be able to battle something that they should be ready to battle. California should not be surprised by this. I understand that it's a natural disaster. I understand that it's bad. I understand that lives have been lost and homes have been destroyed and lives will be permanently affected and altered. But California should not be surprised by any of this. Yet they seem it. Similarly, we as Americans should not be surprised when radical Islamists attack our way of life in this country anymore. Yet I saw a lot of surprise out of the city of New Orleans in the aftermath of that attack. I'm going to connect these two in a moment and talk to you about how, while we can't possibly expect to avoid every negative thing that comes into our lives, liberals make everything worse. They make everything worse. They claim to be there as a nanny state to protect and mollycoddle you, treating you like children, yet somehow they don't. Not only do they not make it better, they make it worse. That is on the way. But first, I want to relate to you something we did this morning. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I became aware of a social media post. I was not the first to share this, and I certainly wasn't the last, but I hope that we were able to amplify it in such a way that made a difference in the lives of the Harlow family. So the grandniece of a gentleman by the name of Donald Harlow, I believe he went by Don, who served in the United States Navy for 4 years, primarily on the USS Grand Canyon in the Mediterranean in the aftermath of World War II. Don Harlow's grandniece posted that he had passed away at the age of 88, and she was fearful that the only people that would be at the service to honor him at the Middle Tennessee State Veterans Cemetery would be her grandfather, his brother, and her grandmother, and her mother. And she put a shout out as to whether or not good people of Middle Tennessee could not see it upon themselves to stop by for a few moments at 11 o'clock this morning at the Middle Tennessee State Veterans Cemetery and honor a man who served his country. And so I put the shout out over the weekend, and I asked, I hit up my good friend John Rich, who's going to be on with us in a couple of minutes, and asked if he could perhaps use his huge platform. And we have a pretty big platform, and John's got a huge platform. I was like, would you mind using your platform? We need to make sure that this man is interred with the proper honors that he deserves. And that involves, obviously, military honors, which he received, but also, let me put it this way. Outside of the most egregious-natured individuals, outside of the worst, no one on this earth should be put to rest alone. Nobody. And no one that served our United States in a military capacity should be put to rest alone. And no family should be left to wonder whether or not that service was being honored. And that's what we wanted to make sure of today. And so I don't know how many people. We filled the rotunda. The facility moved the ceremony inside, I think, or I don't know if it was originally designed to be there, but there's an area, a rotunda, where you can have funeral services. And that's where we had the service. And we had so many people there that they had to open up a couple, as cold as it was, they had to open up a few of the doors for the overflow of individuals that were outside. There was a huge response. Probably, 300-400 people attended the service. I don't know that many of us knew Donald Harlow before today, but we know him now. And that's the point, and that's almost the point. It does not matter that we knew him prior to his passing. We want to honor him as he lived his life, and particularly honor the fact that he served his nation. And it's only through that level of service that we're able to call ourselves free. We'll talk to John about it in just a moment. It's 31 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And the snow Friday morning expected to start at 5 o'clock, then become more widespread throughout the day. When it's all said and done, everybody in Middle Tennessee, by the time the snow stops at midnight Friday, could have at least 4 inches on the ground. Now, that's going to go up to 8 inches, depending on where you're at, and that's mainly in southern Middle Tennessee. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. In Washington, a man has been arrested near the Capitol for trying to enter the building with a machete. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
Capitol Police say the man tried to enter the building through the Capitol Visitor Center, where Americans have been lining up to pay their respects to the late President Carter. Police say in his bag the man had a machete and 3 knives. He's been charged with multiple counts of carrying a dangerous weapon.
4 major fires burning in Los Angeles County. At least 2 people dead. Tens of thousands under evacuation orders. Here's Alex Stone.
The streets around here, the homes are gone. This is where right now the flames are moving from home to home and building to building, and they're trying to knock that down with the winds getting gusty again, but not anywhere close to the 100-mile-an-hour winds that we were getting earlier today.
Right now in Nashville, 5 people in custody for alleged sex trafficking, part of a large federal, state, and local investigation, which Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron says goes beyond the house they raided this morning on Hobson Pike in Antioch.
This is a large-scale investigation beyond just this one particular property. And again, more details will come in the coming days and weeks.
The cost of eggs skyrocketing if you can even find them at your local supermarket. Here's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze with when we might expect egg prices to drop.
The Department of Agriculture tells us it does expect egg production to rebound in the second half of this year as poultry flocks are rebuilt, and that should lead to some lower prices at the grocery store.
Government data showing egg prices up nearly 38% in the past year. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, TDOT is still reporting a crash blocking the right lane of 40 westbound after Fessler's Lane. Police reporting a crash Highway 70 just west of Sawyer Brown Road in Bellevue. And then in Antioch, we've got a stalled vehicle blocking the left lane of 24 eastbound right before Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Men of Valor. Men of Valor is a wonderful organization based here in Tennessee, and I absolutely love what they're doing in our prison systems and in our jails. Did you know that Men of Valor is in every system, really in every jail and every prison in the state of Tennessee? Throughout the state, they have volunteers in that system to try to bring men to God. Why? Because 90% of the men that are in the prison system are going to get out of the prison system. And I ask you the question, Men of Valor asks the question, what type of men do we want walking out of those doors and back into society? Do we want men that are going to commit crimes again and go back into the prison system, creating a not only a net negative within society, but also a drain on our monetary system in terms of the money that we pay into the prison systems? Or do you want productive members of society that can do well by themselves and their family members and lead a productive life? That's what it's all about. So they need job partners, Bible study teachers, mentors, and yes, they accept your donations at Men of Valor. And I love this organization, and I hope that you research them, look into them, and give as you can, or volunteer if you will. MOVministry.com. That's MOVministry.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spice and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy on the Matt Murphy Show. Good afternoon. Hope you're well. Everyone is tingly with excitement over the snow coming on Friday. I just got a visit from New Suit, which is what I lovingly refer to as, I call Paul Mason New Suit.
He wasn't wearing a suit.
Well, no, he never wears a suit, but I call him New Suit. That's just because I used to call everybody in management suits.
Yeah.
And it's kind of old school lingo.
Yeah.
And if that means, if all of them are suits, then that means Dan Mandis is old suit.
Yeah, gotcha.
He was suit.
Yeah.
Now he's old suit, and Paul's New Suit.
Got it.
And so New Suit comes in, and the first thing he says to me is, hey, what is this text message that you sent me? Because one of the first people that I texted after I thought my messages were screwed up was Paul. And it was like, hey, can you see this? Can you see me? Help. or some sort of dire warning. And he was very confused. And he was like, "Is everything okay?" I was like, "Are you getting this? Are you getting this?" It's like, you were right. I was right next door to him. And then the other thing he said is, "Hey, are you guys planning on being?" And we're planning on being here on Friday, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, in studio.
I might be out playing in the snow, but I'll be here.
Yeah. He wanted to know if we were planning. I guess you have to be, Weber, and Weaver. I don't know if you could do what you do.
Have to be. Someone has to be in here though.
I guess that's what I was trying to say. That someone has to be at the controls there and push the buttons and do the duties that you're doing from right here.
Well, I'm the only one who has to take I-24, so I'll be making a game time decision.
I honestly think that I-24 will be an improvement with the snow. And I failed to mention to you that yesterday someone, a loyal listener of this radio station, Ken Weaver, wanted you to know that they had it on good authority that the couches on I-24 did have, in fact, blankets on them.
Oh, look at that.
You were asking that question yesterday. Do the couches have blankets on them?
What about change in the cushions?
I don't know. They'll have to check that out, I suppose. But there are blankets available for you, so when you break down and it's snowing, you'll have something to cover yourself up with.
Well, I'll bring all of the oven mitts that I made during football season and use them as throw pillows.
That's nice. That's nice. And maybe if you're accustomed to doing the knitting, you can knit my hair oven mitt that I'm going to knit for Dan Mandis on Nashville's Morning News. And here's the great thing. John Rich is sitting on hold listening to this going, is this the same Murphy that I... What?
This is what I'm wasting time for?
No. We've got better things to talk about, more important things to talk about, and I got an opportunity to see John with hundreds of fellow patriots this morning at the Middle Tennessee State Veterans Cemetery. Hey, John. How you, man?
Hey, dude, I'm good. It was great to see you today.
It was great to see you, too, and it was great to meet Big Kenny. I never met Big Kenny. It was good to see him out. It was good to see everybody out, and I just wanted an opportunity to publicly thank you. You use your platform for so good, man, and I love it. I love that you love this country as much as you do. I love your background. We come from similar backgrounds in terms of loving our parents or grandparents, et cetera. And I love the way that you love our veterans. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
Well, it's very nice of you to say. I only knew about this because of you. So thanks for forwarding it to me and getting the ball rolling there. You know, when we left the house to head out there, I don't know about you, but I thought, man, I hope there's 15 or 20 people, you know, that were able to make it. But if not, hey, we'll be there.
That's right.
And man, we pulled up on that place. I just posted a video on my X account at John Rich of just leaving the place, walking out. Man, it looked like there were close to 200 cars. I mean, The line of cars was a half a mile long going into that place. And I was so blown away by it. I thought, look at this. I mean, anybody that thinks patriotism is dead or love of country or what, or people are just too sidetracked with their crazy lives to care about something like this, that goes out the window immediately. When I walked up on that, I was so proud of our fellow Tennesseans, seeing them show up on a freezing cold day in the middle of a work day to show their respects to this veteran. It was an incredible thing to watch.
Well, and to honor a man that they probably didn't know anything about, but they knew this. They knew that he served his country honorably for 4 years. And I've been learning a little bit about him since his brother Gale spoke at the ceremony. Donald Harlow was his name, and Don served on the USS Grand Canyon just after World War II, primarily, he said, in the Mediterranean. And I was looking up the USS Grand Canyon and its time of service and all that. It's a wonderful reminder of how many of our fellow Americans, every day of our lives, we meet them. We maybe don't know it unless they're wearing an insignia or a hat or some sort of identifier to let us know that they are a vet. I mean, we meet them every single day, and we need to remind ourselves that is why we remain free, my friend. I know you know that, but I think it's a healthy reminder for every single one of us.
Yeah, I mean, today was yes, it was about him, but like you said, it was about all of them. A veteran should never be buried alone.
Amen.
I mean, the thought of that happening, it just says a lot about the people we live around, the people you talk to on the radio every day, the people I write country music for. Those people are real people, man. I mean, they are as genuine as it gets. And like you said, none of us knew the man personally, That did not matter. It was the point of it. It's the respect of it. You don't allow a veteran of the United States military to be buried in silence and in anonymity pretty much. You just don't do it. And every single one of them deserves that kind of respect. I hope that in the upcoming years, this next 4 years, that we see our veterans treated much better.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we see the VA straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we see the military itself straightened out to a large degree. It's why recruitment is so far down, is because people are telling their kids, I probably wouldn't go into the military just right now, but the way they're handling it. So I'm hoping 48 months from now, man, when we look at this, we go, wow, we have really come a long way dealing with our active duty military and our veterans.
You know, I don't know if I've told you this story, John, but you inspire it. You know, my wife and I were not blessed with children, but my brother has a senior in high school, and Alex, my nephew, talked during his freshman and sophomore years about going into the military. He was a part of junior ROTC. He went into ROTC. And after a couple of years of Joe Biden, Alex looked at my brother Brian and said, I don't think I want to go into the military anymore. And Brian was respectful of that. You know, he's going to let him, make certain decisions on his own. And Brian and I talked about it, and he said, Murph, I don't have anything to say to him. I get it. I understand why he feels that way, because I'm looking at some of these higher-ups, not the men and women, the rank and file, but the muckety-mucks at the Department of Defense and the Pentagon, and certainly in the White House nowadays. And I'm hopeful. I'm crossing my fingers. I was talking to Brian about this the other day. I'm hopeful that Alex will see a little bit of a turnaround and maybe offer himself to service after high school. But we see it all the time. I mean, the morale could not be lower.
Yeah, but thank goodness there's a man.
He's coming.
Who has a really good chance at becoming the Secretary of Defense, who is now a Tennessean.
I love it. I love it.
Mr. Pete Hegseth. And I've known Pete now for about 12 years, an actual war fighter, a guy that has been in combat, an Army Ranger. And let me tell you something, man, if that guy gets that job, the young men like what you're talking about, like your nephew, they will be proud to serve under a man like that.
I agree.
And I think that's a lot of the work we have ahead of us right now, is repairing the morale and the damage that's been foisted upon our country and upon the psyche of your average everyday American. That's job number one, is get everybody's minds reset here that, hey, it doesn't have to go forward like this. We're gonna jump right in and start fixing it and right this ship. And again, today, seeing all those people coming out to pay respects to a 88-year-old, a man who died at 88, a veteran they did not know.
That's right.
That they respected his service. But, brother, that tells you everything. And
oh, yeah.
If that's the direction our country's headed, and I believe it is, man, the future's bright.
No doubt. And recognizing and honoring the fact that it was because of people like Donald Harlow that you get to write the songs, man. You get to sing them. You get to enjoy those freedoms. I get to talk on the radio. I'm in the free speech business, is what we do. And it's just, I loved seeing you. I love seeing all the folks out there. And I wanted to talk with you about it. And I knew I swelled my heart with pride, because that's the real America that I know and love.
Yeah, I'd also say Kid Rock showed up.
Yeah, Kid was there.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I love it.
They saw it on X, and they're like,
right.
"Yeah, man, we saw you post about it. We thought, let's go over. We can't let this guy be buried alone." And
it's so good.
There's so many people. The looks on their faces, you could just see. I mean, Matt, there were so many people crammed in there. It was dead silent. I mean, you could hear a pin drop in that room when they were talking.
And let me tell you, hey, John, when I know I'm 51, we're about the same age roughly, but I know I'm getting softer as I get older. But let me tell you something. I don't apologize for this a bit. There's never a time where when I hear taps, I break up. I couldn't help it. I get so emotional because of the emotions that wash over you listening to that.
Yeah, those notes and the way they were coming out of that man's horn across those Tennessee hills today, and that cold air. I found myself thinking back of how many hundreds of thousands, and really probably millions at this point, of Americans have sacrificed like that.
That's
and
right.
And Taps is not just playing for the man today, for Mr. Harlow. It's playing for all of them.
That's right.
And you could feel it in the room, man. I mean, that's America. I mean, I don't know about you, dude. That was about as strong as an American patriotic feeling a person could feel.
That's right.
It's what I felt today at that cemetery.
That's right. And I love the fact that his brother, Gail Harlow, asked, he pulled up and he thanked everybody for being there. He was kind of overwhelmed with the amount of people that showed up. And then, but he wanted to know, he said, I grew up in Nashville. And then he said, how many of y'all grew up in Tennessee? And he was like, wow, more than I thought. Because, man, Nashville and Tennessee has changed a lot during that man's lifetime.
Yeah. And I knew why he was asking. How many of y'all moved here from California, Illinois, and New York?
That's exactly
But there's a lot of people moving from those states here, and a lot. You got to figure out what are they running away from? They're running away from tyranny in their state.
That's right.
They want to come to the free state of Tennessee. So we're getting a lot of people. I've got friends now here from California, for instance. A guy who he's just a regular blue collar guy, left California, said I'm not having my son grow up in this mess. Pulled up roots, came here, got a job, and is doing great. I'm going to probably see him here in a little bit at my 7th grade son's basketball
Oh, that's
game.
awesome.
There's a lot of Patriots moving here. I know the traffic sucks, but there are some good people moving here from other places in the Union.
Well, and they know what they're running from, and they know where they're coming for. And I don't fear that they're going to change our dynamic one little bit. If they do, we'll be here to monitor it and to wag our fingers. But I don't think they're going to change us one bit. John, thank you again for everything. And by the way, when you're ready, our door's always open, because I know you're always working on things, always got projects going, and you made me privy to a little bit one that I think is going to pop. I think it's going to be huge, and I want to help you launch it when you're ready. Okay?
Well, you've always been a great friend, man, and we're on really lucky to have a guy like you on the air telling us what's going on every day. So keep up the great work, and thanks for being such a patriot.
Enjoy the ball game, my friend. Take care. There's John Rich, everybody. All right, John Rich, and I can't get him off. I can't hit him off because my phone's messing up. So
he's gone.
Oh, is he? It says still he's on the air for me on my end. Is he gone on your
phone? Yeah, he's gone.
Oh.
You go from one phone problem to another.
Well, that's true. It
must be
what
you.
Else? Yeah, it might be me. Thanks again to John. Thanks to everybody that came out. If you came out, then you were moved. I'll talk about that in just a moment, because that moment where they're, oh boy, I'll break up on the radio right now, where they put the bugler. Well, I'll tell you about it in a minute. I got to take a break. It's 52 after the hour on Super Talk. One of the things I've noticed about moving to Middle Tennessee 3+ years ago is that even the more modest homes in Middle Tennessee, they have nice big yards. A lot of them have nice big yards. I know some of the new places are just, the 3-story go straight up in the air and they don't have any yards. But if you've got a little yard space and you're looking to expand your footprint, or looking for an area to play, maybe a garage area, or a space for the dudes, or even a she shed. What about a pole barn, a barn dominium, a garage, an event space from Stoltzco? Stoltzco can get that thing up for less money than you expect, and you can turn your land into a true asset by building on it. Let Stoltzco build a high-quality custom structure at a reasonable price, and they can help you design it right there on whatever you're looking for on your property. They can help you design it. If you want somewhere else to hang out on the weekends, if you're looking for a future home, if you're looking for a space for maybe a mom or a mother-in-law to move into and get them close to you, Stoltzco is your place. Go to Stoltzco online at stoltz.com. That's STOLTZ.com. I'll do it again, STOLTZ.com, or call them at 615-622-5992. 622-5992 for Stoltzco.
Snow predictions. President Biden briefed on the California wildfires, sex trafficking raid in South Nashville, and a former cop going to prison for January 6th. We'll tell you about it coming up at 4 on Super Talking 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Weaver. There's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Chris Weber's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. My name is Matt Murphy, and I'm the host of this little shindig until 7 o'clock tonight. I like to play a game occasionally called The Last Thing Murphy Heard Before He Came Back from Break. And the last thing I heard, I never make these up, the last thing I heard before I came back from break was, the question is, why are you orange? Is that true?
That is true.
That is true. I was still testing my phone because I've got a little PTSD over not having my messages for an hour and a half, and I sent what is supposed to be a representation of myself to Weber on his janky non-Apple phone. That's red. See, I look red. I've got a red hue to me because I'm a savage redskin.
It's like you're that red.
I think that's orange there, Brother Murphy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you're Tennessee Volunteer orange.
No. I'm going to fix this during why don't you just do the news in there? How about that? Ken Weaver's going to do the news. Stop talking about my face color on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, models show the snow starts falling around 5 o'clock Friday morning. And much like last January's winter storm, temperature's going to be at or below freezing. Channel 4's Brendan Tierney checking with Nashville Electric Service on the potential for outages.
NES says you should make sure your phones and backup batteries are all charged up in case you do happen to lose power at home during Friday's snowstorm. They've had crews out checking on the power lines and have them on call around the clock through the storm. NES upgraded their system with new technology that allows them to switch the power back on for most homes impacted by an outage without actually sending a crew out there. They say thankfully it looks like Middle Tennessee will just be getting snow because ice creates a lot more problems.
Now, 4 major fires burning in Los Angeles County. At least 2 people dead, tens of thousands of people under evacuation orders. Alex Stone is in Altadena near the Eaton fire.
The fire is definitely spreading, and there are a lot of people who have lost their homes, and the numbers are continuing to go up. Back where we are now, the winds have picked up a little bit again, and a lot of embers are flying this way.
President Biden briefed earlier today.
President Biden on Wednesday approved a major disaster declaration for California as fires rage in the Los Angeles area. The White House says the declaration allows victims of the fire to immediately access funds and resources to jumpstart their recovery. The federal government is supporting firefighting efforts in California with 5 U.S. Forest Service large air tankers and dozens of fire engines, 10 federal firefighting helicopters, and 10 Navy helicopters with water delivery buckets.
Here in Nashville, Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron describing what happened when authorities carried out a sex trafficking raid at a home on Hobson Pike in Antioch.
This morning, as officers and agents approached the home, 5 men inside ran. 2 of them ran across Hobson Pike behind the church and were actually not apprehended until they got near the lake.
All 5 men are in custody. No word on the names. And a former police officer who stormed the U.S. Capitol January 6, 2021 with fellow members of the Proud Boys has been sentenced to prison. Chuck Severson.
Nathaniel Chuck, 32, from Apopka, Florida, and other Proud Boys, including his father, were in the first wave which broke through police lines, prosecutors say. In addition to 14 months in prison, Chuck's ordered to pay a $2,000 fine and another $2,000 in restitution, say court records. He pleaded guilty to a felony and misdemeanor charges. His father is to be sentenced next week. Prosecutors say Chuck was a cop in Longwood, Florida, but quit in 2020 over the George Floyd killing.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest. Boy, oh boy, they're so good at what they do. They keep the pest and the creepy crawlies and the bugs out. So when you don't see them, U.S. Pest is working. And not U.S. Pest. They'll come on a regular basis, monthly or bi-monthly. But if you don't see the bugs, if you don't see the roaches, if you don't see the mice crawling around, that means U.S. Pest is working. So what you don't see is a sign of success with U.S. Pest. Because let me promise you this, the bugs that are out there, they're wanting to get in because they want the same things you want this time of year. They want warmth and they want your food. And you've got both of them in wild abundance for the bugs, and so they'll come in if you let them. Let's create a barrier around your home and on your property. Thank you to U.S. Pest. They do termite protection as well. Every home in the state of Tennessee is endangered by termites. We need to protect ourselves. Crawl space service, of course, and full-service pest control. Let's go ahead and get this a part of 2025 right now. If you're not currently involving pest control in your home, you need to get U.S. Pest in your life. Call today at 590-1260, 590-1260, or go online to U.S. Pest.
Picked up a crash, Gallatin Pike North, just south of Wellworth Street. There as you're approaching Goodlettsville. And then in the Gulch, we've still got that crash 40 eastbound just off of Broadway. I-24 eastbound before Harding Place. A stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder. Nolensville Pike at Harding Place. Police on the scene of a crash there. Then in Murfreesboro, we have 24 westbound right before Joe B. Jackson Parkway. Looks like the Highway Patrol just now clearing up that crash. Good news for drivers down there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talking 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, let's do it. Super Talk 99.7 WTN hour number 2 starts right now. The snow is not falling yet. And it's not expected to fall today. I'm just getting ready. I'm getting in advance of the expectation. The buildup starts right now, right here on this radio show, on this radio station. Snowmageddon on the way. Snowpocalypse. Everybody's going to suffer or something. I got ahead of myself.
Suffer. Wow. There's pain involved in the snowfall.
They're going to snowfer.
Behind the, they're going to snowfer. I like what you did there. Did y'all ever have snow ice cream?
Yeah. No, I never had it.
You never had snow ice cream? Weaver, you've had snow ice cream?
Yep.
Let's drag Cameron Smith into this conversation. Cameron Smith writes for the Tennessean. He appears weekly. He oftentimes will sub in from time to time on a vacationing host, and he joins us in his large beaver shirt.
Yep.
Hello. Hey,
Hi. Yes, and I have had snow ice cream.
So what did you, what is your memory about? I'm trying to remember the ingredients without looking it up, and I think I got it. It's snow.
Got that one. Yep.
You're a guest.
It would be critical.
That's not very nice. Ken, don't laugh at the guest.
I get to press the button now. I'm not a guest anymore.
True.
I know the buttons to press.
That's true. That's right. You've sat over here. You can't be called a guest anymore. Snow.
Yep.
Vanilla extract.
Mm-hmm.
And milk.
So I couldn't remember whether it was like pet milk or like some of the other things, or was it because milk's on snow would just melt it,
like evaporated milk?
Yeah, something. It was something else.
Condensed milk, maybe?
Yeah, pet milk, the sweet kind.
Pet milk.
Yeah,
what is that?
That's the condensed milk.
That's the condensed milk.
Yes, sweetened condensed milk.
Yeah.
I
think that's what we're talking in the can.
Yeah,
I have a very strong memory of Ma putting it out.
Yeah.
On the rare occasion that we ever had snow.
What about whipped cream?
Well,
whipped cream.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the listeners
y'all had that fancy Oklahoma snow.
I'm sure the listeners have seen the fault in our recipe, which is if you don't have something sweet in there, it's milk, vanilla extract, and snow.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you use
like
regular milk,
blech.
you got to put some sugar in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's sugar.
It had to be the sweetened condensed milk.
Yeah, if you didn't put sugar.
You would melt it with the milk, and it wouldn't be sweet, and it would be awful.
For some reason, I thought it was the vanilla that sweetened it, but I guess you're right.
Vanilla extract is not sweet.
No.
It's just vanilla-y.
Right.
Yeah, take you a pull off of a bottle of vanilla extract and tell us how you feel about
I'll take me a pull, pal. Don't you dare me to do things. Somebody get me some vanilla extract in here. I'll take a pull off of it.
Right. It's like that kid in college is drinking NyQuil. It's great.
Well, we're all excited about the snow. I bet over there at the Smith compound, the beasts are beside themselves with anticipation.
Oh, yeah. And they've got all their snow gear. It's already out. And in Williamson County schools, Carol called is the phrase. Carol Birdsong is the person that calls you and tells you you don't have school.
Mm-hmm.
There's a message that plays. And so everybody's just listening for Carol called. And when she does, man, it's mayhem because it means no school. Yeah,
Kind of thing?
It happened this week. There was no ice and snow, but we're just practicing.
Well, now I remember, and maybe this happened and we didn't notice it when we were kids. So y'all join in on the conversation if you so desire, 615-737-9986, and we'll talk about some more serious things in a minute. But I remember us getting so excited about the possibility of not having to go to school. I don't remember the grown-ups not having to go to work.
Right.
But now we live in a day and a time where the grown-ups get excited. Around this building, there are questions being floated very quietly. Are you planning on coming to work on Friday? Like, they don't tell you have to come to work, and they don't want to tell you can stay home.
Right.
Because they know what the answer will be if they say that, because they want you to come to work. But it's like they're floating
It's that we don't want you to die, but you should probably work.
Right. So can we talk about that on Wednesday and figure it out now so that we don't have any surprises on Friday?
Well, Friday, look, this is the joy of snow in the South. We know that it's going to happen periodically, but we never prepare.
Well, I will push back a little bit about so I would say the joy of living in the middle of Tennessee is a joy that I never felt in Birmingham, Alabama. Because there was never absent like one time.
You can
I lived
get
there
real
20
snow
years
here.
Right, you get real snow, and like it's not, hey, it might not, we don't know, maybe not. I mean, I know that occasionally you get those, but like this one is, hey, it's going to snow.
Yeah, snow in Alabama, people die, literally. Like, they can't drive. It's awful. Here, people think they can drive. They crash a little and then park their cars on the side of the road.
Right. Well, and for me, it's the buildup, right? So in just 3 hours to the south of where we sit right now, the buildup is maybe not. There's going to be a line. We don't really know where the line is. There's going to be a wintry mix. We don't know where that is.
Yeah.
But by the time, the day before the big day comes, the weather people have bought in because they want eyeballs on their television channels. And so they go, oh, yeah, it's going to snow. It's going to be 3 inches. And like I said yesterday, you know how much rainfall you need for an inch of snow?
How much?
A tenth.
Really?
So a tenth of an inch of rain equates to an inch of snow.
Makes sense.
It does make sense. So Ashley Gann of CBS 42 down in Birmingham explained it to me this way, and it started making sense to me. She said, you understand the difference between no rain and a tenth of inch of rain? She said, If I told you it was not going to rain at your house and you got 0.2 of an inch of rain, you would be like, well, whatever. Okay, it spit a little. She said, if I tell you it's going to snow 2 inches at your house and it doesn't snow, I hear about it a lot.
Right.
And that's the equivalent. So, I mean, I get it on those little borderline places, but we don't have to worry about that because it's snowing.
I just love the fact that I'm going to undo this. This whole let's go get the ingredients for French toast. Why do we do that? We get the egg, we get the milk, and we get the bread. I want to get the standing rib roast. Why can't we panic and buy meat?
Well, you can.
I did.
Did you?
Yes. Just in case we had a lack of protein in our house.
You know what I did? I did. It's funny you mentioned that. When did we get the first word of the snow? Like about a week ago or so. I guess we got that little dusting up north, and they were like, well, but don't worry because next Friday, over the weekend, I was in Sam's Club. And I don't know how, but just imagine Matt Murphy is not really thinking. There are no thoughts in his head. He's just wandering around Sam's Club. And then I kind of wake up and I'm in front of the chest freezers.
Yeah.
And I became aware of myself thinking to myself, you really need a chest freezer.
Probably.
And I probably do.
Yeah.
And then what do you do with a chest freezer?
That happened to me with steelhead trout this week because I was like, well, it might snow and there's steelhead trout.
What would happen if it snowed and I was snowed in for 3 days and I had no steelhead trout?
Right. And then I was
what am I, an animal?
And there's some beef sticks. I probably need 5 pounds of those.
Yep.
And a ham. Mm-hmm. Why not? It's a good price per pound.
Let's just make sure that we buy all perishable items.
Yeah. Well, you can put it in the snow. I mean, that's how it works,
always
Matt.
one.
Yeah.
you just stick it in the snow.
My in-laws for Thanksgiving, because they live in Pennsylvania and it's cold, they don't stick stuff in the refrigerator. They just stick it outside.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay.
My grandmother lived in Thompson, Georgia. THOMSOM, no P in Thompson. She did the same thing on Thanksgiving. It wasn't the same.
It's not as good.
No, it's 78 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And that is a very creamy mac and cheese.
Ooh.
8479 says, yesterday I bought ribs, steaks, and hamburgers. See, that's what I'm talking about.
That's how we panic.
That's what I'm talking about.
Protein panic. Let's do it.
Nick says, weathermen mention snow just so they can get a kickback from the grocery stores. It's one of my favorite conspiracy theories.
Great. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Big if true.
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, why else are we watching local news?
No one knows.
I mean, I'm not trying to knock you guys over at Channel 4 or wherever we're affiliated with nowadays, but what we're watching for weather.
But it's on your phone.
Maybe a little sports.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's about it.
I like it when people tell me what happened in the thing I just watched. Especially now with X and all that stuff. It's like you can just see in real time what actually happened, but then to watch somebody tell you a thing happened that you know happened.
It is a crazy dynamic of the world we live in 2025 that we are all eyewitness to the world as breaking news happens. And I would remind folks that it wasn't so long ago, and we'll get to the serious topic of California. It was not so long ago that we maybe would hear about that. I mean even 20 years ago, we would hear about it on the news. Hey, there's some really serious fires out, and maybe get a shot or two of it.
Some houses burned, not what we got.
Not what we got, which we're getting eyewitness accounts where people are videoing or putting up live the fires right outside their house.
The 2 dudes and a dog.
I'm mad at that guy.
What?
And I don't even know what happened to him. I want him to be safe. I want him to be but why are you there? I found myself getting angry at him watching the video while afraid for his life and the dog's life.
But that's the culture we live in. That's like, well, we have to talk about the thing that's happening to us right now. No, dude, that's fire, and it is billowing against your house.
It's one of the reasons why I don't have – I put up a post about this morning's funeral service, Donald Harlow, and – he's a veteran, and his family's like, we don't think anybody's going to be there for him. And so many Tennesseans showed up, and thank you all for showing up. And it was a magical time. And I only saw I'm estimating somewhere between 300 and 400 people. Of the 300 to 400 people, and I'm not knocking if it was you, but I only saw maybe 2 people pull out their phones. And I thought about documenting the moment, and I was like, no, that's not for me to do. I'm going to be in the moment.
Right.
I'm going to celebrate the life that was lived and the 88 years that he got on this earth, and I'm going to be right here in the moment right now. I think we live in a way where we're far more concerned with documenting the moment than living the moment.
Amen. I see that all the time of folks that, oh, well, I'm watching my kid do a thing. Oh, I got to have it on video. Okay, but it's kind of hard to clap with your phone in your hand.
And you're not really watching it. You're watching a video of it while it happens.
It's just such a bizarre thing. It's all of us.
I think the same thing. We were at Ryman Auditorium watching Robert Earl Keen, which I always wanted to do one of his Christmas shows and got to do it. Merry Christmas from the Family being the best Christmas song ever written. And so many people who were all huge Robert Earl Keen fans, obviously, they flock to the guy. He's like a cult atmosphere, and they can sing every song that he writes. And they're all on their phones. And I'm like, didn't you want to watch Robert Earl Keen?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I can watch 1,000 videos of Robert Earl Keen if I want to at home. I don't have to pay. I don't know.
If you want to pull out glasses or something to record that you're watching and it's recording, fine. But when you pick up your phone
and it's in front of you,
it's just weird.
It's weird. We will talk about the California wildfires coming up in just a moment. We'll also talk about what's going down in Washington, D.C. Plus, Donald Trump says he wants Greenland, he wants the Panama Canal back, and he wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to find out from Cameron Smith which of these three ideas is his favorite in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Did you know that Grace Point Healthcare does house calls? It's true. I know you thought the days of house calls are long gone. Not at Grace Point Healthcare. If necessary, if you're feeling too bad to leave your home, they'll do a house call for you. They treat the whole body with a comprehensive medical approach, getting to the root of the problem, not just treating the symptoms of any given problem. I love the approach that Grace Point Healthcare has in terms of affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine in a direct pay primary care provider fashion. What that means is this, that you talk to the doctor and you and the doctor make decisions not encumbered by insurance companies or other factors exterior to your relationship. That's what it ought to be about, right? The doctor-patient relationship at Grace Point Healthcare is sacrosanct. Grace Point Healthcare, they deliver modern medicine the old-fashioned way. You really can afford exceptional medicine at your convenience. Call 599-6868 for an appointment today. 599-6868. Schedule your appointment. They're in the heart of Franklin. It's Grace Point Healthcare.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Tracking that winter storm brewing out west and headed this way. California wildfires, sex trafficking raid in South Nashville, and when you have that cup of coffee might determine how long you live. All these stories and more at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Like right now? I should have one right now?
Brother Murphy, that will not help time spent listening if I tell you right now.
Oh, okay. I just want to know if I should go get some coffee right now. I'm going to go get coffee while you're doing the story.
That may be too early.
If you say something like midnight, I'm going to be really annoyed. Good midnight coffee.
A delicious cup of Midnight Joe.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. Just wash it down with a goodies powder.
In my house, I could probably still sleep.
Oh, no. You know, I don't know if Nashville's morning news is lying to us or not, but I heard Dan Mandis the other day say that that he drinks coffee at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he goes to bed at like 6:30. And I don't know how that's possible. I mean, maybe it is. I mean, for some, folks are different.
You're acting like Dan Mandis is a human. More like a robot.
That's true.
The dude works all the time.
He does like 90 hours of radio a week. I mean, it's weird.
The worst thing on the planet is when Paul or Dan's like, hey, could you just randomly fill in for me? Because if you're not used to the schedule of getting up at like 3:30 and doing radio, you're a zombie. And so I get to come in and I'm like, hey, morning words to people. How are you? In the cars you're in. Dan Mandis news stuff, and that's about all I got.
That's what you got. That's what you're bringing. Like. Well, it sounds
like Dan.
It sounds well, and Nashville's morning news.
Yeah. If I want to sound like Dan,
we love you, Dan.
I try to be non-committal about the topic of the day and say, could go either way here.
Let me throw a little, real quick, just in case he's listening. Let me throw a little Danism at Dan. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Kidding. We're kidding, Dan. We kid.
Just kidding.
We do. We love you, Dan.
I'm sure he turned to the radio and went, duly noted.
Duly noted.
If y'all aren't listening to Dan, you're missing out because
That's
dude
true.
is a Spartan when it comes to news and information.
Let me tell you something. If for no other reason, and I encourage, there are a laundry list of reasons to listen to Nashville's Morning News with Dan and Joan and KGB. If for no other reason, Joan giving Dan fits is it's
great,
delicious. It is because Dan doesn't know how to. It's like listening to a married couple. It really is. It really in a fabulous way, and I would encourage you to do so.
So where do you want to go for dinner?
You know what? Here's where I want to go right now.
Where?
So Donald Trump says,
here we go,
Gulf of America, which I agree with Chris Hand. I heard Chris say this earlier, and he's right. I think it was Hand who said this, that it would be better if there's no A on it. Just Gulf of America.
America.
It's better.
America.
Gulf of America as opposed to Gulf of Mexico. I mean, come on, whatever. Or take over Canada, 51st state kind of deal, or just take Greenland because nobody really owns it anyway, as far as we can tell.
Pretty sure they don't have people there.
Or Panama Canal. Which is your favorite?
California.
California is your favorite. That was not an option, Cameron.
We need to make California part of America first, and then we can work with the rest.
I mean, is it a this or that? Is it a California or Greenland?
Look, when I see so many expatriates from California fleeing to the state of Tennessee,
that's true.
Then I wonder what's gone wrong over there, because you have nice weather and snow-capped mountains and beautiful oceans and all the things. And, yep, everyone's
And you
leaving.
don't really have a government that has your best interest at heart.
All I got to tell you is Ronald Reagan, his statue is now in the basement of the Capitol in California. That tells you what you need to know if you're a conservative.
So, speaking of the fires in California, man, oh man, I don't know. I mean, it seemed that this came upon us so quickly, 36, 48 hours now on, and you've got thousands of buildings destroyed. You've got people dead and an ineffective, non-responsive government. And look, obviously, natural disasters are just that.
Mm-hmm.
But liberals make everything worse.
Also,
everything worse.
Well, so in this case, I agree with you for the specific reason that we have long known the best forestry practices and how we need to do controlled burns and how this helps the environment, wildlife, everything. And activists in California are basically like, no. Guess what? Those choices
they need to be told to shut up.
They have consequences. And if you're going to listen to that, well, I was close with the Alabama Forestry Association, and I got to learn about some of these practices and see them firsthand. And I'm telling you, they make a lot of sense. They're good environmental policy. The critters are fine because, when things start to burn, you think the critters stay around?
No, they know what to do.
They get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And this is because of liberal policy choices that you have a higher probability of significant damage.
And I remember distinctly talking about this several years ago during the fires. It was the Paradise fires that were happening. And we were like, well, the problem is that the electrical companies have not been allowed to do some of the controlled type burns that they have claimed to want to do because environmental concerns sue them, and then they're caught up in court for years and years and years, and those things don't happen, and the brush builds up, and then the brush burns, and you see the spread of the wildfires like we see it. Now, I don't know if that's the nature of this fire or not, but I know that is a problem, and it has been a consistent problem in California. Secondarily, the environmentalists won't allow them to fill their reservoirs to the point where they can get water out of the fire hydrants. I mean, literally, we had firefighters saying that the fire hydrants there was not enough pressure to the hydrant to get the water out of the hydrant.
Yeah, and California is a beautiful place, but there are a lot of trees, and it's a big place. And to be able to deal with that effectively, forestry management is a very important thing to do. And it's not just there. It's the same in Tennessee, anywhere else that you have public lands, you need to do basic maintenance on them. And it sounds silly, but even for the environmentalists, you want to know something else that's kind of crazy? New forests are pretty significant carbon sinks. So if you're a climate change person and you really, that's your gospel, guess what? Taking care of the forest, planting new stuff, burning out the old scrub, making sure trees can grow, it accomplishes your objective.
32 after the hour, almost 32 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WT, and here comes the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Snow prediction models show it starts falling by 5 o'clock Friday morning. Doesn't stop in Middle Tennessee until around midnight. Nashville and the surrounding area could see 4 to 6 inches before it's all said and done. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Yeah, we're freezing and expecting snow. Parts of California are literally burning up.
This is a special report from ABC News. California wildfires. I'm Michelle Franzen. Unrelenting Santa Ana winds fueling fires in Southern California. The Eaton fire in Altadena now blamed for the deaths of 2 people. ABC's Alex Stone is on scene.
The streets around here, the homes are gone. This is where right now the flames are moving from home to home and building to building, and they're trying to knock that down with the winds getting gusty again, but not anywhere close to the 100-mile-an-hour winds that we were getting earlier today.
More than 1,000 structures have been destroyed. The full scope of the destruction still unknown. Some 70,000 residents in Los Angeles County under evacuation orders. Officials warn more are likely.
We want to make sure that everybody understands we are absolutely not out of danger yet.
The Palisades fire just north of Malibu, now the most destructive in the city of LA's history. President Biden, briefed earlier today, approved a disaster declaration.
Right now in Nashville, Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron says 5 people in custody following this morning's sex trafficking raid at a home on Hobson Pike in Antioch.
There is no danger to the community. I think the community can be assured that this police department and our federal partners have been actively working this investigation for months. Again, methodically taking it step by step.
The home on Hobson Pike linked to 2 other homes in Nashville, which police raided because they were brothels, one on Bart Drive, the other one on Mount View Road. Good news if you're a morning coffee drinker. A recent study shows more health benefits depending on the timing of enjoying that cup.
According to a new study published in the European Heart Journal, drinking that morning cup of joe may lower the risk of early death compared to drinking coffee throughout the day. Research shows morning-only coffee drinkers had a 16% lower risk of death and a 31% lower risk of dying from heart disease. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next time. Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we picked up a crash in Madison. This is going to be 65 northbound after Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway, exit 90A. And then a crash, Gallatin Pike North, just south of Wellworth Street. Elliston Place, west of 24th Avenue North. Over there by Vandy, you've got a crash. Police reporting a crash Nolensville Pike at Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, I'm still mad about this messages thing. Don't you get me started. It's 440 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy, and I'm salty. There's Cameron Smith. I can't speak for him.
Less salty. Low sodium.
Chris Webber's behind one set of glass. Ken Weaver behind the next set of glass.
How about you?
We're all anticipating snow ice cream coming up in, 48 hours or less. And I'm being told that if you, and several of our super texters have said this, that if you put sugar in your snow ice cream, the reason you used sweetened condensed milk is because to put sugar in that the sugar will not necessarily melt. It will be grainy. So you either have to pre-melt the sugar and then add it in, or just use the sweetened condensed milk.
That's good tip.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
You know what?
You don't want grainy snow ice cream.
Kids don't care. They're like, this is sweet.
That's also very true.
I care.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
I would like gourmet snow ice cream.
It's just ice and sugar. Is
Right.
apparently what and a little vanilla is what we're dealing with. Gary has a thought on it. Hello. Wait, I can't do Gary because the phone in here, so you have to do him. Hello, Gary. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm just Jim Dandy. Thank you.
Yes, okay. What I have to say is I was born in 53. My mother would not make snow cream in the first snowfall each year, and because of the radiation. So as an adult, I realized they were still doing testing in the atmosphere. So the adults around me translated that as that's just the first one. I guess it cleaned the air out, And so, but after that, it was fine.
So
I have questions.
So Mama said the first snow of the year, that's going to clean out the atmosphere of all that nasty.
All right. Well, I assume that's what they thought because you wouldn't make it with the first one. And after that, and because of the radiation. And then after that, though, if we had 10 more snows, well, I got 10 more helpings of snow cream. So
that's awesome.
Miscommunication, I would assume.
Well, no, I mean, Mama's just being careful.
You don't like that glowing snow.
You got to watch that radiation, especially when it comes to your snow.
It wasn't just her. There were other adults that did the same thing. But anyway, I was a child, so I just went with it. But after I got to be an adult, I realized they had a misunderstanding about what was going on. Of course, finally they would quit testing in the atmosphere with nuclear weapons. But at the time, they still did. But that's it.
Well, about not to date you here, Gary, but about what time was this? Back in the 60s, 70s?
No, in the 50s.
50s. That makes sense.
Yeah, I can remember snow cream as I was born in 53, so how old was I? I was like 6, 7 years old. I'm sure I have memories of the snow cream, So anyway, that was
that's awesome.
I realized they got misunderstood,
Well, no, that's cool, Gary. Thank you for the call. I appreciate you. 43 after the hour, and I'm getting hit up on social media that that was a thing. Acid snow or radiation snow.
I've heard of acid rain, but not.
It would be the same principle. Yeah. But, I mean, back in the 50s, they start testing all these nukes or whatever out in wherever. Well, I don't know what that's doing to the atmosphere. So, yeah, got to get one nice snowfall to clean everything out. All
right.
Okay. I mean, no, look, Patsy says, I've always heard don't use the first snow. 1998, absolutely. 0360, I was born in 1986, LOL. Now you're just messing. I've heard that several times about the first snow, says 7280. Brothers being true. My mama did that as well, says 3592. So it was a thing. So maybe we shouldn't make snow ice cream this time around. Make sure that the atmosphere cleans itself out. I don't know.
I've seen the flurries. We're good.
You think?
There's a little flurry. It cleaned it out a little.
I think we need to worry more about what's on the ground than in the air.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Especially if you have dogs.
No question. If those are not chocolate chips in your snow ice cream. There's no chocolate chip snow ice cream.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I understand the comparison when I talk about Greenland and California. You're more concerned about the United States of America and
I think all this stuff is out there. It's got liberal heads exploding. I mean, my inbox is full of Democrats who are like, see this guy? He wants to invade Canada. And I'm like, guys, have y'all not learned yet?
He's trolling you.
Canada It's going to be Canada. It's going to be fine.
You know what he's also doing? And liberals refuse to take this part of the dynamic seriously. You know what Mexico did when Donald Trump said that he was going to put 25% tariffs on Mexico? You know what they did? They stopped the caravans. The caravans have stopped. Yeah. And I have a news story on it. That the Mexican government said we need to stop because Donald Trump said you need to stop the influx of illegal alien activity coming across your country into ours. Oh, by the way, we're thinking about this 25% tariff.
Right.
And people act like it doesn't work, and it does.
Well, my point is you can't have it both ways. You can't tell me that this guy is a liar, blowhard, who just says a bunch of stuff that you shouldn't take seriously, and he's ridiculous, and we need to take everything he says extremely seriously, and it is like it's already happened.
No, I get that, but they choose to play dumb when they think it behooves them to make Trump look dumb, and it just makes them look dumb.
Yeah, I mean, Greenland, for example, we do have a strategic interest there. Like, there is some utility to at least having the conversation. The neutrality of the Panama Canal, it really does matter to us pretty significantly.
And well, tell me this, Cameron. I respect your knowledge of world events. Do you think China has too much influence over the Panama Canal?
Absolutely.
And that's what Donald Trump's saying, and the media, and the mainstream media, and I don't mean, but the mainstream media is like, China doesn't control the Panama Canal. They know that they have too much influence over the Panama Canal.
China did this around the whole world.
Right.
They tried to buy up infrastructure and have been successful. Ports are particularly valuable. And this is part of an actual Chinese initiative to control a lot of this infrastructure. And so that's a legitimate point to make. At this point, I think a lot of Democrats are just saying, well, we don't like Trump, so anything Trump talks about is terrible. I mean, that's just not real.
What do you think is coming next for CNN? I asked this question, I guess it was Monday, because, you know, you walk through the arc starting in 2015, and he was a joke, he's a clown, he's not serious, to, oh, ha, he's running, it'll last 2 months, to, oh, well, he's never going to see a debate stage, to what he debated and he won, to he won a primary, to, well, he's going to get his brains beaten in by Hillary. Then he becomes president, and they never saw it coming. And for 2.5 years, it was Russian collusion. Mm-hmm. And they went after him, and they tried to impeach him at one point. Then it was January 6th. They tried to impeach him again for that. Then for 4 years, it was lawfare and getting him in the courts over all of this stuff that never was going to come to fruition. What is it going to be now? And I don't know if we can predict that, but do we not understand this animal that we're dealing with right now?
So
I'm talking about the mainstream media and how they're going to handle Trump.
I think we are understanding now because Trump, like him or not, he is authentic. He's really himself.
Yep.
And so we've seen that. And you're talking to me. I've been very critical of Trump on a number of points for policy positions, for his character. But the truth is, I can see very clearly now that there's a lack of character in the legacy media. There is an agenda. There is a lot of stuff there that, I'll be honest, I didn't want to believe was there. That I was like, well, they're trying to get it right. No, they're not. And for me to concede that and say, okay, I know what he is, but you're a liar.
Well, you look at the way that they treated his press conference from, gosh, it feels like 4 days ago. What was it? Yesterday morning? It feels like 4 days ago. Their takeaway was the Panama Canal, Greenland, and the Canada thing, because those are the easiest things that they think they can make fun of. The man started the press conference by introducing a person from the United Arab Emirates that said directly, I have been holding on to $20 billion for 4 years because I wasn't sure which way the United States of America was going. I'm investing $20 billion into the United States of America, and there's more to come because of this guy and because of his initiatives and his negotiation. Mm-hmm. And they just ignore that.
Yes.
That demonstrates an agenda that the American people are, I don't think the American people even necessarily want thumbs on scales. I think there's some of that goes on social media platforms, but they just want fairness. and they're not getting it from most of the media.
Well, you're not. So CNN, watching Scott Jennings is a masterclass, right?
So good.
And he's a great guy, and he's able to articulate well what's actually going on. But you see sort of the deck stacked against him to basically be like, well, you're this marginal viewpoint. No, he's not.
No, he's the prevailing viewpoint in the United States of America.
And that's where we talk about hands on scales and stuff, and I don't see that with X. I think Meta or Facebook is coming around saying we need free speech. But what I've realized and what concerns me the most, and Trump's done this at times, so I'll critique that, but the left uniformly wants to silence dissent. It is very much there's certain things you can't say, and you can't do it in this way, and you can't be that, but they want everyone to accept their viewpoint. If you don't, you're a bigot, a misogynist, a racist.
Right.
And this game...
Because that gives them the ability to shut down any conversation or any critical thought about where they are on an issue.
It is a stacked deck with a viewpoint. And that, to me, is wrong. And I'm taking... 2025 for me is heavily taking that on and saying, you need to grow up, quit lying, and realize that your viewpoint isn't as righteous as you think.
I got a little distracted toward the end of your point because I have a question for you about why your beaver's so angry. We're going to answer that question in just a moment. And if you're not watching on Super Talk TV, you're very confused. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'd like to start here when it comes to Dr. Poss, Dr. Brian McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions Center. And here is as follows. Do you know if you have sleep apnea? If you snore considerably, especially, if your partner tells you that you're snoring during the night, then you probably have some level of sleep apnea. Certainly, if your partner has noticed that you snore, and then you automatically stop snoring, and then you start back snoring, you probably have sleep apnea, and that's probably that is an example of a way that you would stop breathing during the night, and that's very dangerous. It can cause health concerns. We want to solve these issues with an FDA-approved oral device that I have in my home that helps me sleep on a nightly basis, and I absolutely love it. It is Dr. Poss, Dr. McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. It starts with a telephone call to this center. Find out how they can help you. Talk to them about this FDA-approved oral device. Understand that they are in network with most insurance in the state of Tennessee, to include BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Medicare, and TRICARE for the military. And they have 2 locations to serve you. One is in Brentwood and the other in Murfreesboro. Dr. Stephen Poss and now Dr. Brian McLaughlin and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Go to drposs.com. That's drposs.com for more info.
We'll give you the latest snow total prediction. And California wildfires are claiming lives. Sex trafficking raid in South Nashville, part of a larger investigation. We'll tell you where egg prices are and where college tuition is headed. Coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. You don't look like that.
I do.
No, you do not.
I'm awesome.
You do not. That's making you look like Tom Cruise.
Basically.
Mine won't do it. Cameron has discovered this feature on the Instagram where you can just imagine yourself as different. I mean, maybe we're late to this game, but
we probably are.
AI will allow you to see. Mine says something went wrong. Well, I bet
you and that phone again.
I bet something went wrong. Yeah, my phone went wrong. Meta AI is trying.
Yeah.
It's giving it a go, but it won't imagine me as anything right now. It's imagining what Cameron would be like if Cameron looked exactly like Tom Cruise.
An astronaut, a guru, or Superman.
A taller version of Tom Cruise. Mine just keeps saying something went wrong. So
we are playing with technology, folks, and wow.
And that's probably not a good idea. All right, in the minute or two that we have left, so I feel like, Donald Trump says a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump. My main takeaway, something the media will never give him credit for, is I'm sitting there at my home office watching as he spends an hour, better part of over an hour, talking, answering questions, off the cuff, impromptu, no notes, no little sheet of paper telling him who to call on and what their question's going to be and what they look like. And say what you will about the man, but it was a refreshing reminder, and it was a reminder to me of how far we had gone down the road with Joe Biden.
Yes. It's just a matter of time before Donald Trump's like, are you guys stupid? Because that's what he said about the Hamas questions and stuff. Like, do you know what hell will rain down means? Are you dumb? And I thought that was pretty good. I mean, the political class needs to be questioned by the press, but when the press plays these stupid viewpoint games...
Well, what do you mean?
Right.
What do you think I mean? I said all hell's going to break loose.
Right.
In the Middle East. What do you think I mean? Use your brain.
Right. Right.
You're always using your brain. I appreciate that.
Do my best.
Whether I agree with you or not. I'm one among many. I can't talk for everybody else. Thank you.
No problem, buddy.
There's Cameron Smith of the Tennessean, and I'm Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We have 2 more hours to go. We'll dive into some of that press conference from the other day, plus update you on the California wildfires. That's up next. Ken Weaver's coming up right now with news.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Snow is expected to start falling at 5 o'clock Friday morning and not stop until midnight Friday. By then, we could have anywhere from 4 to 6 inches on the ground here in Nashville and the surrounding areas. A little bit more than that in the south of the mid-state. A little bit less when you go north. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Power outages on the minds of Middle Tennesseans with this winter storm moving in. A Nashville Electric Service spokesperson telling Channel 4 they've got crews checking lines on call around the clock. And recent technology upgrades allow them to restore power to homes without having to send out a crew.
A lot of our crews and a lot of our employees are working year over year to plan for peak weather events, whether it would be snow or cold or heat. And so we are prepared.
Now, NES says it's a good idea for you to be prepared, doing things like making sure your phones and batteries are charged up in case of outages. Apocalyptic, that's the word being thrown around in California.
This is a special report from ABC News, California wildfires. I'm Michelle Franzen. Fire crews are now battling 5 major wildfires and up against wind gusts of 35 to 60 miles per hour this afternoon. Those Santa Ana winds fueling flames. At least 2 people are dead in the Eaton fire, charring more than 10,000 acres north of Pasadena. And the Palisades fire near Malibu has burned through nearly 16,000 acres since it began yesterday. Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hoffman out surveying the damage today where cars and homes were engulfed.
It was apocalyptic. I've lived here my whole life. I have never seen that type of devastation where literally block after block after block of houses that were there 48 hours ago aren't there anymore.
The DA warning people who try to loot, saying they will be prosecuted. More than 1.5 million customers in California without power, either due to fires directly or the power shut off preventatively.
Here in Nashville, Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron says this morning's sex trafficking raid on a home on Hobson Pike in Antioch's part of a year-long investigation.
The search warrant that's being executed this morning is a federal search warrant. Homeland Security Investigations is the lead in the execution of the search warrant.
5 people arrested there at the home on Hobson Pike, and the cost of eggs skyrocketing. If you can even find them at your local supermarket, here's Elizabeth Schulze with when we might expect egg prices to drop.
The Department of Agriculture tells us it does expect egg production to rebound in the second half of this year as poultry flocks are rebuilt, and that should lead to some lower prices at the grocery store.
Egg prices up nearly 38% the past year. Tuition at public universities has dropped, and tuition increases at private colleges have finally slowed, according to new research.
Figures compiled by the nonprofit College Board say the average student attending an in-state public university this year faces a tuition bill of over $11,000, down 4% from a decade ago. But the real savings come after getting grants and financial aid. That's down 40% over the decade to about $2,500. That means less borrowing, less debt.
Chuck Severson. And the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for PAI Medical. They are the We Grow Hair folks. If you go to WeGrowHair.com, you'll see some of the tremendous results from PAI Medical. WeGrowHair.com. Look, 2025 is the year that you get that hair back, right? No matter where you are in your process. I did not know necessarily that I was thinning, but I wanted to check it out because I thought I saw a little blank spot there at the crown of my head. I went to PAI Medical, talked to the gang over there, and they said, yes, Murphy. You have a little bit of thinning, but we can blanch this. We can get rid of it right now. We can stop all of this with their FDA-approved laser treatments. You're in and out in less than 45 minutes. It works. I have thicker, fuller hair. I mean, look at this hair. Locks for Trump would not be what Locks for Trump is if it were not for We Grow Hair and PAI Medical. So when you make the call to gain confidence, to gain self-esteem, I mean, obviously, hair is important. When you make the call for 2025 for you, tell them I sent you to PAI Medical and We Grow Hair. Don't wait. Call today, 615-376-6010, 615-376-6010, or online at WeGrowHair.com.
Police still working that crash. Right lane block, 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane. Over by Vandy, we've got a crash at Elliston Place, west of 24th Avenue North. Nolensville Pike at Harding Place. Nolensville Pike north of Glen Rose Avenue. Then Sidco Drive north of Harding Place. Down in Rutherford County, debris in the road, 840 eastbound, right there at Veterans Parkway. That's going to be exit 50. And then heading back up north of Nashville in Jolton. Got an injury crash, Whites Creek Pike, just south of Bear Hollow Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Token 99.7 WTN.
There are 4 major fires burning out of control in Los Angeles County as we speak. Good afternoon. It's 5:08. That's the lead story right now on SuperTalk 99.7 WTN and really across the United States of America. And really, it's an international story that is making headlines. The ineffective nature, the inability of the leadership in Los Angeles County and the entire state of California to do anything about it is a major topic of conversation as well. And we're going to discuss that off the top of the hour right now on SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being here. Ken Weaver's in the background. He's gathering headlines as we speak. Chris Weber controlling the experience, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. And me, I'm your humble correspondent from 3 until 7 o'clock every afternoon on SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. Once again, if you're just getting in your car, I want to real quick thank those of you who took the opportunity to head out to Pegram, to the Middle Tennessee State Veterans Cemetery. We heard of a veteran that was being laid to rest, and there was a concern on the part of someone in the veteran's family. His name is Donald Harlow. He went by Don, I believe. And there was concern. Don is survived by his brother and his brother's wife, and I think there's a few nieces and nephews. I didn't really hear about a son or a daughter, so nieces and nephews. But Donald was a military veteran, served in the United States Navy for 4 years. And many of you joined me. I was joined by John Rich. I made John aware of it over the weekend, and John put it out on his platform, and hundreds of people showed up. The concern was that there would only be a couple of family members, and that was it. And what eventually rolled out was several hundred, if not 300, 4. I mean, I don't know. I'm hard to estimate. It's difficult for me to estimate crowd sizes, but there was an overflow that led to outside. Kid Rock came. And look, I love it when these men like John and Kid Rock, Big Kenny was there, several other musicians in the city of Nashville came out to show their respect for our veterans. They did not have to take time. You did not have to take time out of your busy day in order to do that. But the number of people there, I think our hearts were filled with appreciation and esteem for this fallen Navy man who lived to be the ripe old age of 88, served, as I said, for 4 years in the 6th Fleet, served specifically on the USS Grand Canyon. This was right after World War II. And the numbers truly did touch the hearts of his family members, and it touched my heart being there. No service member should be buried alone. No person that served their country should be buried with just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 family members. And if you know of anyone that has passed, and if you are concerned that there will be nobody there to remember them, call me. All I can tell you is call me, and I'll be there. If I'm the only one, I'll be there. But if I'm able, I'll be there. And I'm there not because I think my presence offers necessarily any comfort. Honestly, I'm there because it's the right thing to do, and I'm there because it gives me as much as anything. I mean, if you've never been a part of a military service, as I wasn't a part of it. I was in the congregation. But if you've never been a part of the folding of the flag and the playing of taps and the I can't get through talking about it without starting to choke up. But the time spent folding the flag from the casket by those Navy men, and you could hear a pin drop as it happened, with over 300 people in that room, in that rotunda. And then the serviceman turns and walks to the brother of Donald Harlow and says, on behalf of the President of the United States of America and the United States Navy, we present this flag. And I don't know the exact language, but whew, I mean, it'll break you up. It'll break you up, because that's the only reason that we have the ability to do what we do. It's the only reason that I'm in the free speech business. That's, last I checked, amendment number 1, right? I'm in the free speech business. I'm in the freedom business by extension. And the only reason that we get to do what we do and enjoy all that we get to enjoy, we get to go out and enjoy the snow this weekend. We get to enjoy that snow in part because of what individuals who sacrificed all gave to us to guarantee our freedoms and liberties. So I just wanted to remind you of that and thank all of you that chose to come out on a brisk 28-degree, 29-degree Tennessee morning. 615-737-9986. The failures of liberals. Look, I don't blame liberals for what happens in California with regard to the fires. I mean, it is a part of living in California. If you live in California, you understand that wildfires are a possibility. If you live in California, you also understand that earthquakes are a possibility. Natural phenomenon. We live in Tennessee. You know what we know in Tennessee? That at some point or another, there's going to be another tornado. We get it. You know, I lived in Alabama for many, many years. You know what I understood in Alabama? At some point, there might be a tornado. At some point, there might be a hurricane that comes through and busts its way up through Alabama, might even make its way to Nashville. If you have a dedicated team of professionals working behind the scenes, elected and unelected, to make sure that they have the infrastructure in place, you can handle those natural disasters when they come along. And if you don't have those groups of people, if you don't have those individuals, if they're more worried about headlines than they are getting to the bottom of an issue or making sure that you are protected, what do you get? I'll tell you what you get. You get the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. It has been now 20 years almost since Katrina, and I'm still not over it. I'm still not over it because it was local and state officials, Democrats all, that allowed that to happen. Yet the mainstream media and those Democrats involved in the build-up to Katrina found a convenient and tidy scapegoat in the form of George W. Bush. And they decided that they were just going to blame him for everything. Despite the fact that there is a mountain of evidence pointing directly to state and local officials, Democrats all, who were well aware of the structural non-integrity of some of the locks and levees, who were well aware, per the Army Corps of Engineers, what they needed to do to protect New Orleans in the worst-case scenario. Well, we didn't even get the worst-case scenario. We got a Cat 3 hurricane that came in, and the hurricane didn't kill all of those people. It killed some of them, and we understand that. And that is unavoidable. It is a byproduct of living below sea level. It's a byproduct of where you live on the coast. It's a byproduct of a lot of things, much like the wildfires that we're looking at right now. But it was the ineffectiveness and inefficiency and inability of the elected officials locally prior to the event that led to the disaster of the levees breaking. Here's the bottom line. You don't get headlines and you don't get votes and you don't get campaign contributions using money to build up infrastructure that nobody ever sees. And I suppose that you don't get a lot of accolades or attaboys if you live out in California and you say, you know what? Against the concerns of these stupid, nonsensical environmental groups, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start clearing some of this brush and property on this timberland because we believe this is the way, and we've seen evidence and study after study that this is the way to prevent a localized wildfire from becoming something that we can't contain. Now, I would not suggest to you that that is necessarily a direct causal factor of this, but here's what is exacerbating this situation out there. They don't have water. They don't have water because they're I almost said a nasty word. They don't have water because they're so darn concerned with the environmental concerns of others upstate that they're not getting the reservoirs filled properly. They're not getting the pressure proper that would give the firefighters the ability to access fire hydrants. Turning on fire hydrants and they're getting nothing. And then there's the mayor of Los Angeles, who apparently was out of the country at the time that all of this started. If you've not seen it, and I've not heard this. This will be a first hearing for me. It was sent to me by our own Chris Hand, who saw this online and alerted me to it. It is the mayor of Los Angeles. What's her name? Susan Bass? I know her last name's Bass. Mayor of Los Angeles being questioned by Sky News. Karen Bass. I felt like Susan was wrong. Yeah, Karen Bass. Thank you very much. Karen Bass, the mayor of L.A., being eviscerated by a Sky News reporter. Let's listen together, shall we?
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Can you back up, please? Appreciate it. Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
By the way, I should note, let me give you a little signpost here. It looks like she is standing in an airport terminal, like on one of those, what are those called? The
moving sidewalk?
Yeah, the little, well, no. She's standing like like a ramp going to a plane. It looks like she's standing
the jetway
at a ramp, jetway. Thank you very much, Mr. Weber. You're the best in the business. A jetway while this reporter peppers her with questions. I should note that, yes, in fact, they did cut, I think it was $23 or $24 million out of the budget of the fire department. The Los Angeles Fire Department, you know, the same fire department that is desperately attempting to contain these fires, these deadly wildfires. 155,000 people are under evacuation orders. Fires are just tearing through. These are not rural areas. These are not farm areas. This is urban landscape in Los Angeles County. And people are evacuating. In the meantime, this woman doesn't think that she owes this reporter the time of day.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor?
She's just standing there.
Have you nothing to say today? Can you back up, please? Appreciate it. Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
Just a little trapped.
Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
Mayor Karen Bass, just standing there.
No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
Now they're moving. They're moving them to attempt to get away from the reporter who has them somewhat cornered on the jetway as it looks like they're awaiting a flight. Now they're almost running down the ramp, trying to get away from this reporter. The reporter obviously following them, trying to just get a comment, just a comment for the citizens.
Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. They're gonna Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
They're routing her
just a few
around
words
the proper...
for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down?
And there she goes.
David.
There she goes. There's the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, refusing to answer a single question, just standing there staring ahead as if this guy doesn't exist. Reminded me of my dog when my dog knows that my dog has done something wrong, and you're standing there going, Munson, what did you do? Mrs. Beasley, what did you do? You don't exist. I'm going to ignore everything about you until you go away. That's Karen Bass. She ought to be ashamed of herself. Had she any shame? Your thoughts on all of this, 22 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming back. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Safe House. You know, Nashville Safe House has for over 30 years been serving the customers of this community in Middle Tennessee at large with quality safes at affordable prices from Nashville Safe House. I want to talk to you about delivery practices for a moment. I'm not here to cast aspersions, but I know this, that at Nashville Safe House, they employ the people that deliver your safe to your home. So they know them. They've vetted them. They would not allow some stranger to come into your house and know the combination to your safe. They wouldn't let a crackhead deliver your safe. Their qualified professionals are ready to go to deliver that safe for you once you select it. Whether it's Browning, Fort Knox, Champion, Rhino, or another name brand, they have them at Nashville Safe House. Well over 200 in stock and on the showroom floor, and another 400 or so back in the warehouse. They've got the right safe for you. And oh, by the way, if it's a gun safe, it's sales tax free at Nashville Safe House. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com to find out more. NashvilleSafeHouse.com, or stop by and browse the selection yourself. Tell Mark and his team that Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House on 4th Avenue South, across from City Cemetery. It's Nashville Safe House.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Snowfall totals, the method your child's school will use to let you know of delays and cancellations. And California wildfire death toll continues to climb. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And I want to throw some comparison tissue onto the flames of conversation, so to speak. So once again, the government officials that were in charge in 2005 in New Orleans, Louisiana, and statewide, they did not cause Hurricane Katrina, and they didn't cause the devastation, but they created a dynamic by which, when that came on shore, the levees broke because they didn't do it. They should have known. Another example, also in New Orleans, fairly recent example. The police chief, Ann Kirkpatrick, I guess her name is, a woman that was fired in Oakland, California. She was fired in Oakland, California. She was fired in Oakland at the Oakland Police Department. And New Orleans hired her anyway. And look, I don't know how old she is. I don't know how effective she is. Not very. In the aftermath of that insane, evil Muslim radical inspired by ISIS, who mowed down innocents on the morning of New Year's Day, this woman said, oh, well, he got up on the sidewalks. I mean, who knew? And then the day or two after, when they had gotten those yellow, I don't think those were called bollards. They were called something else. What about these? Where did these come from? A reporter asked her. Oh, I didn't know anything about. We have those. We had those in storage. I didn't know anything about those. You're the police chief. Your one job is to do everything in your power to keep the citizens safe on one of the most important nights of the year in that regard, where you got a football game half a mile away, you got revelers, you got partiers that would expect that the police of the city of New Orleans would keep them safe, and you didn't know? Liberals make everything worse. Now, oh no, it happened. Did you do it? Oh, okay. Hey, Marie, how are you?
I'm fine. Matt, love your show and love the way that you present everything with such passion. First of all, I've been in Nashville for years, love it, raised my family here, but I am born and raised in Los Angeles. And I grew up with, fires and no evacuations, but we would see the fires coming over the hills and, not knowing if we were going to have to evacuate, never had to. But, Matt, you were so right. The policies of the Democrats, the liberals, the Democratic Party have cost so many lives, and they continue to. I always knew as a little girl that our water came from the Colorado River. You always have snowpack. It runs down. Colorado River has plenty of water to serve all of us in Los Angeles County, plenty of it. But the policies of the liberals, and they keep voting, we keep voting them back in office. And when you tie the hands of your first responders like this is what causes thousands of lives everywhere. And it is that when your hydrants, are gone, there's no water. When the dam, one of the biggest dams there, Newsom shut it down, just shut it down. This is exactly what you have. And you're right, Matt. No, they didn't cause the fire, but their one job is to protect everybody. And they cannot do it. They fail over and over. Newsom has to go. And I know many people here from California that say, we got out of there. We loved our home. We loved the most beautiful state around. But we're here because the policies and the lawless, there's no laws, there's no policy in effect. And I feel so bad for all of these firefighters. My daughter.
Well, Marie, hold your thought if you can. I'll let you finish up in just a moment. Put Marie on hold. I'll let you finish up. Sadly, I've got not sadly. I need to get to the news, and news time is well, we're past it. It's 5:31. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Snow starts falling in Middle Tennessee around 5 o'clock Friday morning. By the time it's out of here around midnight, 4 to 6 inches will have accumulated. Travel conditions will deteriorate rapidly once it starts falling. Nashville Department of Transportation's already started treating the roads. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Parents and guardians want schools to not wait until the last minute to notify of opening delays or cancellations. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
They rely on information from the National Weather Service and local emergency operations. And sometimes that forecast can cause cancellations last minute. They all hope to send out alerts Thursday, but Cheatham, Wilson, and Metro Nashville Public Schools say parents will know by 5:30 Friday morning at the latest. Rutherford and Robertson County said they will not call parents before 5 a.m.
I'm hoping it's just Friday since it falls into a weekend with the snow that we're getting. So that's my hopes for it, at least.
So parents may want to have their ringers on to see if those cancellations start coming in.
Right now in California, the crackle of flames and the boom of random explosions in several areas of Los Angeles County as wildfires continue plaguing at least 5 areas. Here's Alex Stone.
With all of the flames coming off of these buildings, you can feel the heat of the fire as it is moving from neighborhood to neighborhood. And we keep hearing these explosions as ammunition and gas tanks and other things are exploding inside of these homes and in the cars. And there are some people who are up on their roofs that they have not left. They are using garden hoses, trying to put any amount of water they can on their homes, trying to save them.
And the death toll from the wildfires in California has now grown to 5. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we've got a crash blocking the right lane, 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane in Jolton. Injury crash reported by police. Whites Creek Pike, just south of Bear Hollow Road. In Goodlettsville, a crash reported Dickerson Pike at Dry Creek Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You guys see Chris Hand out of the Glock store doing his thing at the Shoot270.com indoor range. It was pretty cool to watch. And I'm a little jealous, and I only have myself to blame because I need to get out there. I need to shoot this full auto H&K suppressed MP5, which I guess if I go out and buy some ammo, by the way, $50 value, and you can do this. All you have to do is mention my name. I suppose you could mention Chris Hand's name. I suppose you could mention Dan's name. But I would prefer you to mention my name because I want my name mentioned more than their names. And you can shoot this thing too. All you have to do is schedule a shooting session at Shoot270.com, Shoot270.com. And when you go out, you buy the ammo, and they'll take care of everything else. It's a $50 value. You get to shoot a full auto H&K suppressed MP5, which is pretty darn cool. Now, the right way to train is obviously with a personal instructor in a private shooting room. Every session, you walk out a better, more confident shooter. And I know because I've done my fair share of sessions at Shoot270 and Shoot270.com. So go over there and schedule an appointment or stop by and say hello to the friends at the Glock store. They are in Nashville. My only place to train and my only place to buy is at the Glock store, minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. It's the incomparable Glock store.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Back to your calls momentarily. It is the Matt Murphy Show. My name is Matt Murphy. We got Chris Weber behind the glass. We got Ken Weaver behind him. I have failed my mama.
That's not good.
I made a note to talk to you about this today, Weber. And then my phone, I'm going to blame the phone on everything that happened. So then my phone started screwing up, and I got all higgledy-biggledy and out of sorts, and my cheese got moved around, and I forgot to mention this to you. I'll ask it in the form of a trivia question. January 8th, that's today's date. That mean anything to anybody?
No, not to me.
Well, it did to me. Because when I was growing up, one of my first memories was in the trailer park. This is before Daddy left. And I had to be 5 because Dad left when I was 5 because my mom's brain surgery when I was 5, almost 6. This was in the trailer park, and it was my father and my mother haggling with this guy over a velvet painting of Elvis that apparently Dad had given him half the money and gotten it for Mama for her birthday or Christmas or something and hadn't given him the other half of money because that's how my dad rolled.
This is one of the most trailer park stories I've ever heard.
Oh, it's awesome. And so, yeah. But the dude was at the trailer park, at the trailer, wanting his Velvet Elvis back. I have it.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. I have it in my basement. I know. I still have it. It's more of it's not really a Velvet Elvis. It's more of a canvas Elvis. But I'll put up a picture. I'll tell you, I'll take a photo tonight, and I'll put it up on social media platforms for tomorrow. But put it this way. This is one of my first memories. The Velvet Elvis was over the Stereophonic Hi-Fi.
Of course it was.
At the Murphy compound. Yeah. And Elvis was a main attraction when music was played in our home. Elvis Presley either is or would have been 90 years old today.
Wow. He could still be going.
You know, I thought of this, Weaver, because some people believe it, or at least they did, that he just checked out and decided he didn't want to be famous anymore and faked his own death. But we only got a few more years that we can believe he's still around.
There's a movie about that.
It's one of Ken's favorites.
It's called Bubba Hotep.
But what?
It's called Bubba Hotep.
Oh, you got to see it, Murphy.
Bubba, I tell you what. Hold on. Let me find the title of this thing. I might still have this film, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
I will watch Bubba Hotep.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch a film that I purchased called Elvis is alive. Elvis found alive.
All right.
But I'm going to describe the beginning of Elvis Found Alive for you, okay?
Okay.
It is a documentary film crew they're setting out to dispel the myth that Elvis Presley lived beyond August 16th, 1977. And so they file a Freedom of Information Act with the FBI to get all of that information.
All right.
And the FBI told them, well, that's fine, but we have to redact some of this stuff. And they said, okay. Well, we want everything you can bring us. And so it was delivered by Federal Express to their doorstep. I'm not making this up. So they get it and they open it, and the like assistant secretary, whatever she is, she goes, "There's ink everywhere. It's still wet." And the guy said, "It's still wet where they redacted everything. Let's wipe this ink off." And they find the address for Elvis Aaron Presley.
Yes, sir.
And they go to his house and they get an interview.
Yes, sir.
And when you got to see it. It's so bad. It's good. When they pull up to the house, this is supposedly like in 2008, right?
Yeah.
They pull up to the house. Guess what's sitting in the driveway?
Cadillac?
Pink Cadillac.
With a phone in it?
Had a Nixon sticker on the back. And they walk by. It's like the film crew's getting out of their car, and they walk by and they look at the Cadillac, and they pan the camera to the passenger side window, and there's a big old gun sitting right on the passenger seat.
Yes, sir.
And they said, this must be the place.
And some big sunglasses sitting there right beside the gun.
That's right, baby.
I think we're in the right place.
Man, you know I'm going to watch this.
Elvis Found Alive is the name of it. And it was done in 2012, and I strongly recommend it.
I bet you I can get it on Tubi.
I bet you can, too. Any free platform of your choosing, I bet that this is there. Now, what's yours called? How do I spell this?
Bubba, just like it sounds, Hotep. HO-TEP.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it tonight in honor of the king.
Yeah, all you need to know with this one is Bruce Campbell plays the king.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that might be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all watch the new one?
I didn't watch that one.
I did. It was good.
I've seen the videos, clips I've seen. The kid did a great job.
Oh, what was it? What is
you're
it?
talking about that one, yeah.
Yeah. Legit, like told from the perspective of Tom Hanks played. The Colonel, Colonel Tom Parker, who was a bleepity bleep, by the way.
Yeah.
My mama would tell you what Colonel Tom Parker was, and she would tell you that he was a bleepity bleeping bleep.
Oh well, you'll see it in the movie.
Okay, Bubba Hotep.
Yeah, Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep. I got it. All right, Marie, I was going to you, and I'm sorry. I missed you, and I apologize. I promised I would go back to you, and I started getting off on a different thing. But Jerry is here out of Murfreesboro to talk about these California wildfires. Hello, Jerry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that about who's going to pay for them. I remember years ago when there was the Oakland fires, they had I think it was like 60 Minutes or something, that they had a guy on there for the insurance and they said, well, we're not, the insurance, everybody out here watching is going to pay for this. See, the problem with communists and liberals is that they don't ever pay for their actions. Everybody else does. And I know that, the one problem with the Republic is that you get what you vote for, and there's not going to be any repercussions or anything. We're all just going to have to pay it and just keep moving on. And the people will just keep voting for the same policies and people over and over again. That's all I have to say.
Well, I appreciate the telephone call, Jerry, and thank you very much for making it. I don't, I would agree that there's a lot of individuals in that liberal mindset. I mean, it was said long ago that liberalism is a mental disorder, and I think a lot can be said for that because over the course of my lifetime, I've heard it over and over again that liberalism, and when I say that, I kind of mean socialism because I truly believe that today's Democrats are really socialists. I mean, most of them. Would we not call Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a socialist? Would we not call Gavin Newsom a socialist? You don't believe that Gavin Newsom would take over the means of production in the state of California had he the ability? Of course he would. Well, what do you think socialism is? I mean, I understand it's economic policy, but it's also all about a ruling class. So over the course of my lifetime, it's been said to me any number of times, well, you know, socialism works. It's just not been done right. Bernie Sanders would tell you this moment of this day, that socialism or communism, centralized control of the life of individuals, works if it's done properly. It's never been done properly. It never will be done properly. You know why? Because human nature doesn't allow it. And because it's not controlling other human beings and preventing them from acting in their own self-interest on their own free will goes against the very fabric of our souls and our spirits. It doesn't work. But sadly, there's a large portion of the American population that have bought in so much. They've bought the lies. They've bought the narratives. The narratives involve vilifying the other guy, identity politics, making sure that you fear the other and that you hate the other. And it involves subdividing the United States of America into things like red states and blue states. I wish it were not so, but it is true. But California's got to deal with their own problems. They voted themselves into this, and they better start voting themselves out of it. And if they double down on it, they're just going to get more of the same. I have failed in my duties as a talk show host because I forgot about nincompoops in the news. But we're going to do it next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, are you tired of living in pain? Do you feel like no one listens to you when you tell them about your pain? Well, I have a company that does. I have a group of doctors that will listen, and they will get to the bottom, the root cause of your pain, and they will heal it naturally. That is the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. What would you do if your pain was gone? Whether it's back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, wherever it hurts, Dr. Wendy, Dr. Dominic, Dr. V, and the rest of the incredible staff at the Dr. Gill Center can assist in alleviating that pain. Take it from me. I don't just talk about them on the radio. I am a patient of the Dr. Gill Centers, and I don't know what I would be doing with my back if it were not for Dr. Gill and his team, because they corrected the painful issues that I had in my spine. I took spinal decompression therapy for a good while, and it works. I'm telling you, folks, if you're in pain and you're tired of the pills, if you're in pain and you don't want to take needles to block the pain or to consider surgery, call today. Go to 615-882-4838 and schedule that appointment, 615-882-4838, or callmepainfree.com. That's callmepainfree.com for the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spice and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Snowfall predictions. President Biden gets briefed on the California wildfires, for which the death toll is rising. Sex trafficking raid in South Nashville, and a former cop sentenced to prison for January 6 riots. That's coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I am not here to get in front of Ken Weaver's newscast coming up in 5 minutes. But if that's the story that I think it is, we're going to talk about it. Is that the one in Antioch, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about that in the 6 o'clock hour because that is I don't know why I'm so fascinated, but that's a fascinating story. All right, I'm also fascinated with my inability to keep the clock, and I failed in my duties as a talk show host because every day at 5:35, we are built to do one thing, and that is nincompoops in the news. It's a shared opportunity for you to vote on who the biggest nincompoop is. Every day you get 3 nominees, one from Matt Murphy, one from Ken Weaver, one from Chris Webber, and then you vote on the biggest nincompoop of the day. It's a suspended nincompoops in the news because your humble host failed to crank this up at 5:38. But we got it right now. Ken Weaver, because you got a newscast to do, you get to go first.
All right, mine comes from Sarasota, Florida. Television station WKRC. Anything for you, Daddy. Hooters waitress attempts to flirt with police during DUI stop.
Holy moly.
A Hooters waitress's attempt to flirt with authorities during a DUI stop was captured on police body cam video.
I am under the influence, but I did not drive. Swear to God.
But you were driving.
I was not.
22-year-old Sophia Ross observed stopping at green lights, striking multiple curbs along a roadway in Sarasota. Body cam video recorded shows her telling the officers she worked as a Hooters waitress before lifting up her sweatshirt to show off the company's iconic tank top, then making several advances on the officer.
Okay, do you want to try this first exercise for me?
I will do anything for you, Daddy. We're going to make out here.
Okay.
Gonna make out here.
No, we're not.
Can't keep my hands off him. Sorry.
Unfortunately, you're gonna have to.
Well, it became clear her words would have no effect on the officer, so Ross can be heard mocking him, referring to him as a nerd.
Everything that we
Don't be such a nerd, bro.
body cam, and that body cam is public record.
I am a nerd. Show it to the body cam. I am a nerd.
But anything we do is...
I am a nerd, bro.
And then she says, you think I give a...
Oh, no.
According to the report, Ross refused a field sobriety test, placed in handcuffs willingly, and taken to jail. The police and representative of Mothers Against Drunk Drivers are not amused.
While at the jail, the driver did do breath test samples and did blow more than 4 times over the legal limit, which is shocking.
In this situation, the officer was able to intercept her before a very serious crash could occur. Could have killed the officer, could have killed an innocent bystander, could have killed her.
Yeah, so 22-year-old Sophia Ross is my nincompoop.
If you have never followed Sock Puppet Theater on social media, This is a candidate for sock puppet theater. What they do is they do drawings of police interactions with mostly drunk people, and the people they turn into there's a lot of turtles or rabbits, or they're normally they're woodland creatures. Just look it up, sock puppet theater on Instagram, or if you're on the TikTok, that story is incredible, and I'm sorry that her considerable assets did not get her out of trouble with the police officer.
Bunch of nerds.
Yes, sir, Mr. Weber.
All right, mine comes from the Republic of Zambia. The Zambia Police Service says Detective Inspector Titus Fury, a team leader at the Leonard Chilo Police Post, has been arrested. You may ask why? Would he be arrested? Well, on New Year's Eve, he got a little carried away. In a statement, the police service said that Inspector Fury was in, quote, a state of intoxication at 10 a.m. on December 31st when he took the cell keys from a colleague and released all 13 prisoners under his watch. Detective Inspector Fury unlocked both male and female cells, instructed the suspects to leave, stating they were free to cross over into the new year. According to the statement,
get out!
Not surprisingly, none of the 13 returned voluntarily, and a manhunt has been launched.
Barney Fife.
Sounds like a Joe Biden supporter.
Oh, no. All right, y'all come back now.
The Rock.
Men, here at The Rock, we have 2 rules. Number 1, obey all rules. Number 2, do not write on the walls, as it is very difficult to get writing off the walls. Here's mine real quick, and this is pretty easy. Police, I couldn't help myself. I know this is in the news, but it's nincompoops in the news. Police arrested a man trying to enter the United States Capitol today during the viewing ceremony of the late President Jimmy Carter, who is lying in state. They arrested him because he attempted to enter the United States Capitol with a machete and 3 box cutters.
Grief.
Wow.
The arrest took place just hours before President-elect Donald Trump was scheduled to visit the Capitol to pay his respects to Carter. The man, 44-year-old Mel Horn of Washington, D.C., was stopped when police officers spotted the machete in his bag during an X-ray screening at the Capitol Visitor Center just after 2 o'clock local time. Officers say they found 3 knives, box cutters in the bag, and a large machete. The discoveries prompted police to shut down security screenings at the Visitor Center for about an hour. Horn was arrested on multiple charges of carrying dangerous weapons into the United States Capitol. Wow. That, my friends, is a nincompoop. You can vote online. Supertalk 99.7 Super Text line is up and running. 615-737-9986. That's how we play. Nincompoops in the news. Back with news coming up. The real news on the way with Ken Weaver next.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and snow starts falling around 5 o'clock Friday morning. And much like last January's winter storm, temperatures are going to be at or below freezing. Channel 4's Brendan Tierney checked with Nashville Electric Service on the potential for outages.
NES says you should make sure your phones and backup batteries are all charged up in case you do happen to lose power at home during Friday's snowstorm. They've had crews out checking on the power lines and have them on call around the clock through the storm. NES upgraded their system with new technology that allows them to switch the power back on for most homes impacted by an outage without actually sending a crew out there. They say thankfully it looks like Middle Tennessee will just be getting snow because ice creates a lot more problems.
No let up to the wildfires in California.
This is a special report from ABC News. California wildfires. I'm Michelle Franzen. A fresh fire has broken out in Southern California, adding to the risks for fire crews up against fierce Santa Ana winds. The L.A. County Sheriff's Office confirming 5 deaths now in the Eaton fire near Altadena. Resident Paloma Marquez fled her home earlier this morning, but says she returned to do what she could.
I was already ready to give up. I was already telling my husband, let's just go. Let's just cut our losses and let's go.
But he's like, no, we can't give up.
Another blaze. The Palisades fire is the most destructive now in L.A. City's history. At least 1,000 homes and structures destroyed. Nick Bertram is a senior at Palisades High School.
You look left and there's nothing, and then you look right and it's perfectly fine. It's really weird. But I went back past Methodist preschool, and I've never seen anything like that. It was engulfed in flames. It was so much scary.
The erratic flames and ferocious winds continuing for a second night.
Here in Nashville, Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron describes what happened when authorities carried out a sex trafficking raid at a home on Hobson Pike in Antioch.
This morning, as officers and agents approached the home, 5 men inside ran. 2 of them ran across Hobson Pike behind the church and were actually not apprehended until they got near the lake.
All 5 in custody, no word on names, and a former police officer who stormed the U.S. Capitol January 6, 2021 with fellow members of the Proud Boys has been sentenced to prison.
Nathaniel Tuck, 32, from Apopka, Florida, and other Proud Boys, including his father, were in the first wave which broke through police lines, prosecutors say. In addition to 14 months in prison, Tuck's ordered to pay a $2,000 fine and another $2,000 in restitution, say court records. He pleaded guilty to a felony and misdemeanor charges. His father's to be sentenced next week. Prosecutors say Tuck was a cop in Longwood, Florida, but quit in 2020 over the George Floyd killing.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Friends, Matt Murphy for Eurofix. When I say stinky, 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 I'm talking about the auto repair shop that you probably went to last time. If it wasn't, Eurofix. Smelly, greasy old rags lying around, a countertop that you wouldn't touch. Another thing that stinks, the repair shop that keeps you there and keeps your car there forever. They're not honest. They don't call you back when they say they're going to call you back. They don't do what they say they're going to do. The last experience at a vehicle shop, if it was anything like this, you need to get to Eurofix. Friends, Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics there. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment, which is pretty cool in and of itself. And you never pay dealer prices. Plus, they have a location near you. Started in a barn in his backyard, and now Aaron Stokes in Eurofix has 5 locations: Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX. Or online, myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
All right, checking around the city right now. We've still got that crash 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane, the right shoulder blocked. In West Nashville, we picked up a crash 40 westbound at 46th Avenue and 51st Avenue, exit 205. Belmont area, 440 eastbound after Hillsborough Pike. That's at 21st Avenue, exit 3. And then 40 eastbound at Highway 109 in Lebanon. Police reporting a crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here we go. Final hour of the Matt Murphy Show on this Wednesday, Jan 8 edition. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Happy birthday, Elvis. Elvis is dead. I don't feel so good myself. But we'll get to 7 o'clock and hand off to the great one. Hope your evening's going well. Hope your drive home's going as well as possible. I mean, heck, at least it's not snowing. That's not coming for the next couple of days. At least we're not on fire. You know, I make that joke. I can't make that joke today. I always make that joke. No matter how bad it is, at least you're not on fire. Man, it is on fire in California, in Los Angeles County, and it is bad. It is being described as literal hell on earth, as the death toll is expected to rise in the California fires beyond apocalyptic, we're being told. And we're monitoring that situation and obviously talking about it, the ineffective nature of I mean, here's the deal, folks. All these liberal networks can talk about climate change all they want. Whatever. If you're selling it, I'm not buying it. But here's what I would tell you. They didn't fill the reservoirs properly, leading to a lack of pressure at the points that they needed water pressure to fight the fires. They cut, the low-end estimate that I saw was that they cut $17 million out of the fire budget. The high end was $24 million. I don't know which is correct, but let's just split the difference and call it $20 million. They cut $20 million from the fire budget in Los Angeles County. The citizens of California, under the direction of Gavin Newsom, sent supplies to Ukraine. That was your supplies, California, that they sent to Ukraine. They fired firefighters less than 5 years ago for refusing to get the COVID-19 vaccine. They refused the advice of those concerned and working in the industry and instead leaned on the advice of some of these envirocentric climate change alarmists, and they did not comply with brush clearing in wildfire-prone areas. They halted prescribed burns, as a matter of fact. They allowed the storm water to wash out to sea without putting it in the reservoirs. I mean, if you want to know who's to blame here, I think it's pretty easy to figure it out. Now, that is understanding that I don't know the nature, and I've not heard. Have either of y'all heard Have any of y'all heard the suspected beginnings of this thing? I mean, how it all started?
I have not heard that.
I've not heard it either.
No, they haven't even gotten to that.
I mean, I understand that it's something that needs to be discussed, but I have not heard from any official capacity what they believe started the fires. It could be any number of things. I mean, obviously, with that, in some of those drought-prone areas out in California, that tinder is just so delicate. And because they refuse to create a buffer and get away the underbrush. I mean, Donald Trump several years ago talked about this in the aftermath of the California wildfires. I don't remember if he was still I think he was still president of the United States when he advised y'all need to start raking the forest.
It was 2019, I believe.
Okay, so he's still president of the United States. And y'all need to rake the forest. And the liberal media, ha, 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 what an idiot. He's talking about raking the forest. You can't rake the forest. Yes, you most certainly can. And they do it in other countries to prevent this exact sort of thing. You rake out that delicate tinder, you get that, and you're not raking with standard size house rakes, for goodness sake. You're doing it in an industrial size, but you're doing so for the purpose of you do controlled burns, you rake that tinder out, you get that will burn most rapidly and readily and cause these rapid fires. Now, obviously, you're leaving the big timber, but the big timber burns much more slowly and spreads much less rapidly. The California fire grew, according to the fire chief out in Los Angeles, 5-fold in 4 hours. When you have those Santa Ana winds, I've never been to California. I mentioned that earlier today. I don't know. I don't know why it makes me feel weird to say that. It does. I've been all over this great country. I've had an opportunity to travel to a lot of the states around this country, but the furthest west I've gotten is Nevada. I've never been to California, never been to Oregon, never been to Washington State. Don't know if I'll ever go. Don't know if I ever will. Reminds me of an old Johnny Cash song. When you going back to Florida? I don't think I ever will. But we're thinking about the folks out there because they deserve better than this. They deserve better representation. And you can make an argument that they voted for this, and I guess en masse they did. But these tragedies, my goodness gracious, they deserve better, and they're not getting it. But our hearts and our prayers go out to them. 615-737-9986 if you have thoughts on that. LA's on fire. 6880 says, LA's on fire and it's the end of the world, yet North Carolina and East Tennessee are wiped out and now freezing and what? Well, I'd take umbrage with you on that front because I covered the Western North Carolina, East Tennessee events in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene as comprehensively as anybody else on the radio. We had on almost a daily basis Steve Antle, who was our go-to source. He was a resource in Fairview, North Carolina, in the epicenter of where Hurricane Helene hit, that near Chimney Rock and some of those other places around there. And we had him on, and we continue to have him on when circumstances warrant. Obviously, there are still people suffering over there, and we will do everything in our power to help assist those individuals. Now, if you're referring to the federal government, well, you're right. All FEMA brought were problems, regulations, and a checkbook. And that checkbook was based on phony money that they just make up on the back end of things. They also brought needless regulation, rules, and whatnot, preventing individuals from getting the resources that they needed. And we covered all of that comprehensively as well. So I would take umbrage with the idea that we have not made that coverage a priority. We certainly have. 2528 says, I say bleep them. They got what most of them want. They can keep it. I understand that in this day and age, I want to be serious with you for a moment, 2528. I mean, do you really mean that? I mean, these are fellow Americans. And I understand that a lot of people are too far gone. They have been brainwashed. I consider liberals to be brainwashed more than anything. And I feel for them because many of them are weak-minded people. Weak-minded people that allowed themselves to be brainwashed into believing that the big bad boogeyman, whatever representation that you want that to be, I mean, this is what ultimately happens to liberals. If they find themselves in a condition not of their liking, if they look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, they don't like where they are. In the United States of America, you might come from less than, but you have every opportunity to make anything of yourself that you want. All it takes is hard work, dedication, a want to, a grind. If you have those abilities and talents, you can accomplish anything in this world. Find where your abilities and talents lie and motivate yourself to accomplish what you want to accomplish. We can't say that for every country in the world. But in the United States of America, long absent mental or physical disability, long-term poverty is a choice. I'll say it again. In the United States of America, absent mental or physical disability, long-term poverty is a choice. Unfortunately, a lot of people would prefer to blame others, whether they be mystery others, made up, imaginary, or someone concocted by a politician who wants a vote. They're far more willing to blame other people for their issues than they are to stand in front of a mirror, look in the mirror, and recognize that in 99% of the cases, this is a hard lesson to learn in life, but it is true. In 99% of the cases, wherever you find yourself in your life, the person looking back at you got you there. And while there's a lot of responsibility in that statement, there's a lot of opportunity too, because the person looking back at you can get you out of it. The person looking back at you can get you in a better condition, in a better state of circumstances. All you need is the want to. So I don't say F them. I say we need to help them. As long as they want to help themselves, I can help them out of this situation by help. And the first step is helping them understand that your Savior is not coming around the corner to fix every problem in your life. And that Savior doesn't come with a FEMA badge and a checkbook, whether that's in North Carolina or in California. And I know that that's tough love, but that's truth. Super text line up and running 615-737-9986. Let's see, 18 after the hour. Let's go to James in Thompson Station. Hello, James.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Today should be a national holiday.
The King, Elvis.
The King. That's right.
I love it. I love it. Would have been 90 years young today, James, if you believe, as I do, that he has passed to this mortal coil.
Yes, he has. And actually, you stole that line from a book written by Louis Grizzard.
Oh, I certainly did. Elvis is dead, and I don't feel so good myself.
I love that man's writings. He was awesome.
Yeah, you know, James, you're calling me out, so I might as well admit a lot of it. I've stolen a lot of that man's lines over the years.
Well, that's a good source. That's a good source.
My favorite Louis, can I tell you one of my favorite Louis Grizzard lines?
Please.
You know, he was married multiple times, and he had divorced. I think after he divorced his second wife, someone was interviewing him and asked him if he was going to get married again. And he said, well, I thought about getting married again, but instead I'm just going to find a woman I don't like and buy her a house.
Throw in the car with it.
Just kind of cut to the chase. James, thank you so much for the call and for the reminder about the great one, Louis Grizzard. He had many, many great books, and he was a great one. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with Louis Grizzard, you need to make yourself familiar. He was the originator of the That Dog Will Bite You.
Oh, that's right.
I want to say that Louis Grizzard
I think you're right.
made that joke up. If you don't know the joke, if you know, you know. You just got to go look it up. Larry, you'll be next in Clarksville, 20 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Defense Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. Their clients include organizations like schools, corporations, healthcare facilities, law firms, manufacturing facilities, corporate headquarters. They even help out country music tours and entertainment venues. As a matter of fact, Cumulus Nashville utilized the training for our own personnel. I've been through the training multiple times, and let me tell you, friends, they are good at what they do. They train school systems. They train professionals. They train business environments. On what? On active violent situations that could come to your place of business, could come to your school, could come to your church. They're on the rise. And hope is not a plan. It's a simple fact that the odds of something like this happening to you, a violent situation, workplace violence or otherwise, are very, very low. Let's not be mistaken. They're incredibly low, but they're not zero, and that's the point. Hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained. You are the first responder. Let's get with Defense Systems. DefenseSystems.com. That's DefenseSystems.com or 615-236-6484. 236-6484 for Defense Systems.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a Guaranteed Offer and start packing.
Snowfall totals, and a fifth fire is now racing across Los Angeles County. The death toll there climbing. These stories in the day's closing Money News at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Weaver. It's 25 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Several of you with theories on the super text line, 615-737-9986, as to what we might be dealing with in terms of the origins of this fire. Also, 2676 says, I still get updates from Steve Antle on Facebook. I need to get Steve back on to get an update for the general listening audience about what's going on in Western North Carolina and East Tennessee, because there are people that are still suffering, particularly those in Western North Carolina. There are people that are still suffering. In the meantime, 8765 says, maybe it's just me, but, and I'm just reading the text as it's written, maybe it's just me, but doesn't these fires resemble what happened in Hawaii? Just saying. And then he's got that, the emoji where the face and the guy's like, just saying. Saying what? That fires burn things that are flammable? What are we saying? What are we saying? Are we saying that the fires out of Hawaii were intentionally set and these were perhaps intentionally set? I don't know. I don't even remember what the official line on the origin of the Hawaii fires was. Probably lightning. That's what they normally say. I can't remember. Honestly can't. I know that we now have five separate fires walloping Los Angeles at the same time, and those fires are considered to be, as we speak, 0% contained, and that's bad news for the people of California. A lot of you commenting on my desire to help these liberals out of their mental delirium or their brainwashing, saying, I don't know. Well, hold on. I don't know, Matt. I lived out there half of my life. They're just not very smart people. The majority of them are in favor of a lot of these rules and legislation that they have in their state that doesn't allow them to go through there and rake the debris and dead foliage out of the forest, or water conservation, because they cut the water supply off from up north, and all the things that they do are just asinine and backwards, and they end up paying for it later on. They don't even learn from it, so it's kind of like that kid that, well, yeah, it's like the kid that it's the old story of the guy's walking down the street and he looks down an alleyway and he sees a kid. It's a brick wall, and the kid just keeps hitting his head against the brick wall. And he's like, oh, my goodness. And the kid's just hitting his head against the brick wall. And the guy runs over to the kid and grabs him and turns him around and says, young man, what are you doing? He says, I'm hitting my head against this brick wall. Why? Because it feels so good when I stop. Well, they never stop. TB says land grab. Land grab? I don't see a conspiracy of a land grab in Los Angeles. And I don't know that I'm even comfortable doing that while people's homes are being destroyed and all of their earthly possessions are being burned to a crisp, and they find themselves homeless. What land grab are we doing again? I mean, y'all educate me, but a lot of you are saying that, and 7007 says, oh, it was a space laser in Hawaii. Let's not be silly. It was a drone-based laser in Hawaii. Come on, guys. Scarlett's in Nashville with a thought on all of this. Hello. Well, I promised Larry, but I get to Scarlett, then I get to Larry. Hang in there, Scarlett. Wait. I'm not in control. All right, Chris.
Say one name, and I will push that button.
Larry. Let's do that's all on me, brother. I have no control of the phones right now, and Chris has no control of my mouth, and that is problematic. Hello, Larry.
Hey, Matt. First of all, please stop making me laugh, because laughing with cracked ribs is not fun.
What did you do to your ribs, Larry?
I had another fall, man, and
got to be careful.
Well,
Larry, I don't have that many listeners as it is, and you're one of my favorites, and I don't need you damaged.
Well, I just want you to promise to come to my funeral and maybe speak.
I'll be there. What would that? I'm gonna mark that down. I got my calendar written down for 2036. How about that?
Hell, I want that. But anyway,
too soon. I can give you more if you need it.
No, brother. I mean, I just want to say, January the 20th.
I hear you, man.
On the California stuff, they have refused to clear that underbrush for decades, and it also goes back to the California Power and Electric. I mean, whether they've had the funds or not, somebody in that group of, wise thinkers have always refused to do that. And then I have a question for you, sir, and I would like your educated opinion. Why the hell are we giving the Taliban $40 million a week, but we don't have the funds to help the people out in East Tennessee and West Virginia?
Because our priorities are all out of whack, because that's the way that we've been doing it for a long time, because once those checks start flowing, they never stop until someone says, stop it, this is asinine, this is stupid, we got to put a hold on it. That's exactly why, Larry. Thank you for the call, buddy. I appreciate you, and feel better with those ribs. We'll get to Scarlett, as promised, coming up in just a moment. Right now, it's Ken Weaver's turn. 31 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Snow prediction models show it's starting by 5 o'clock Friday morning, not stopping in Middle Tennessee until midnight. Nashville and all of Middle Tennessee looking to get about 4 to 6 inches when it's all said and done. And once it does start falling, driving conditions are going to deteriorate rapidly. That looks like right about 9 o'clock Friday morning here in Nashville. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Traffic, too. The death toll, meanwhile, rising and the wildfires racing across Los Angeles County, according to Sheriff Robert Luna.
The Eaton fire, we've confirmed 5 fatalities.
Now a 5th fire is active in Los Angeles County, too. And in Nashville, 5 people in custody following this morning's sex trafficking raid involving Homeland Security, FBI, TBI, and Metro Police at a home on Hobson Pike in Antioch, which was being used as a brothel. Police say they confiscated a gun, cocaine, ecstasy, fentanyl, and other drugs. And they say the investigation isn't over. Money News, Michelle Franzen.
Stocks drifted higher and lower, ending the day mixed on new economic reports and worries about inflation. The Dow added 107 points, the Nasdaq lost 11, and the S&P gained 9. One of the reports suggested U.S. employers outside of the government slowed their hiring in December by more than what economists expected. A separate report also said fewer U.S. workers applied for unemployment benefits last week than economists expected. Stocks also wavered on reports that President-elect Trump is considering declaring a national economic emergency in order to impose his tariffs. Investors also reacting to the December Federal Reserve minutes, which show that officials are expected to dial back the pace of interest rate cuts this year, although the minutes show some officials expressing support for keeping the bank's key rate unchanged.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got a brand new crash in Smyrna. And look here, it's 24 eastbound, right there in the left lane, right there at Sam Ridley Parkway. Dickerson Pike at Briley Parkway, and Hillsborough Pike at I-440 in Green Hills got a crash. Berry Hill, 65 northbound at Armory Drive. Whites Creek, we've got a crash. Whites Creek Pike at Briley Parkway. And then in West Nashville, causing quite a backup, 40 westbound at 46th Avenue, 51st Avenue. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, look at folks. I don't have to tell you it's cold. All you need to do is go outside, walk the dog or whatnot. You'll feel the cold conditions, and you hear your heater staying on a lot nowadays, right? Because it's cold outside, and it's just going to get colder. It's going to snow. And if your heater's not operating properly, you need someone you can trust. And I have that number, I have that name, I have that person for you. It is Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling will get to your home jiffy quick. If there's something going wrong with your unit, they're going to repair it. They're never going to recommend that you replace that unit unless it's absolutely necessary. And when time comes, they can install an Elite Pro partner with Rheem they are, and they'll install the right unit just for you. They can consult with you on that before installation. Obviously, they're going to try to repair it, get it up and running, make sure that you have the heat that you need during these cold, cold winter months. Give them a call today at 615-784-4424. That's 784-4424. By the way, they're growing at Efficient Heating and Cooling. So if you or someone you know is an HVAC tech or an installer or interested in a new opportunity, Efficient is hiring. So find them at efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Efficient. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. I like to say that January, February, it's chili season, soup season, stew season. Anything that you can build up in a crock pot, you can do. And you need to get the spices from Savory Spice. Savory Spice has 2 locations. You walk in, you smell the delicious flavors before you even see the bottles, and the aromas are just robust. And depending on what section you're standing in, international flavors, a Mexican food flavor, or maybe Italian, whatever it might be, they've got it at Savory Spice. The best spices around will be found at the one and only Savory Spice. I love the fact that they're locally owned. Holly and David have owned Savory Spice since the beginning, and they are good at what they do. You keep your money local, and they treat you like family at either location. There's one in L&L Market on Charlotte Pike in Nashville. The other's right off the square in Franklin. Odds are you'll see Holly, David, one of the dogs, in Savory Spice. They don't keep the dog in the building. Well, you get what I'm saying. David's often walking the dog around the square in Franklin, one way or the other. Go by and see them. Buy some of those delicious, nice and spice and easy products from Savory Spice. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line up and running as we continue. 6:39. Good evening. Hope everyone's well, keeping warm. It is blistering cold outside. At some point, y'all vocal public mouthpieces. I guess that's me. I guess I'm a part of the vocal public mouthpiece. You are too. You are too, Mr. Weber. At some point, y'all vocal public mouthpieces spend more air minutes spinning excuses for ridiculous actions of those criminals writing checks with our money than pointing out common sense to listeners. It's been this way for years. Literally since J6 and through COVID. Y'all give obvious criminal, nonsensical people the benefit of the doubt. Well, Dan, thank you for listening. Thank you for offering your thoughts. I would encourage you, I'm an open book. At any point that you want to change the nature or direction of this radio show, you have the ability to do this, because I truly believe that we are the electronic public square. And so that same telephone number that you used to complain, you can call and change the direction and offer your opinion about, and I would encourage you, tell me who are the obvious criminal, nonsensical people that we are giving the benefit of the doubt. I would love to hear it. And I'm open for it. 9044 says Hawaii was the electric company and the power lines. That was the quote-unquote official release of information. Whether we believe that or not remains to be seen. Scarlett is, I think mine worked. Scarlett is next up in Nash. Hey, Scarlett, how are you?
I'm okay, and
Good.
It's nice to talk to you, Matt.
Nice to speak with you.
I lived in Los Angeles for 22 years. I've been evacuated during a forest fire, and I've gone through Northridge earthquake. And I am here to tell you, first of all, my heart is breaking for the people in L.A. Because of what they are experiencing. And yes, they voted those people in, but they don't deserve what's happened over the past 18 hours. And part of it is act of God, and we know that. But having lived there, been evacuated through a forest fire, had a friend lose a home in a forest fire, what we are seeing is a travesty, literally. We had plenty of firefighters for the one I went through, plenty of water. And there was a system to evacuate us. And what we saw in Pacific Palisades yesterday with just the simple evacuation was horrendous. And I'm heartbroken. Every place I ever lived in is going up in flames.
When were you out there?
I lived out there from 1987 to 2008, so almost 30 years.
And so you lived in some of these areas that have been destroyed or directly impacted by the fires?
Yes, I lived in Pacific Palisades. I lived in Malibu. I had an office in Santa Monica. I lived in Calabasas. I went to school in Newhall Pass. I have friends that live in Altadena and Pasadena. I have friends that live in all these places that are burning to the ground. And I'm like, I am very angry. Even as a former person that lived there, I am very angry.
Was this type of stuff with, the nonsense about not filling the reservoirs? I mean, obviously, Karen Bass just recently cut the fire department budget, so obviously I understand that wasn't going on. But were some of these ridiculous climate change initiatives going on when you were out there, or is that relatively new?
They were fighting over, it might have been the smelt fish that they cut the dam off for. That was the only thing they were fighting over. Well, I take that back. They were fighting over that, and they were still fighting over the aqueduct water rights, which that's been going on since Mulholland built the aqueduct. So that was the only things that they were having freakouts over. Back then, they were clearing brush, and they would cite people that didn't clear brush on their property. They were able to go in and do controlled forest fires to try to keep it down and keep it controlled. We had bad ones. We would have really bad fires, but not to the degree that we have seen now. And I can tell you from being evacuated through a forest fire that it's like living in hell.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just some of the images coming. I mean, I can't imagine living in it. I can't imagine living through it. The images that you see of some of the people evacuating or some of the emergency responders, I mean, it is what you would imagine hell to be.
I'm telling you from doing it, and I'm lucky because my house remained. But like I said, one of my best friends lost everything. And it's true what they do. They don't just give you notice. They just come and knock on your door and tell you you've got 5 minutes. And
these I can't understand it because I've never experienced it, and I don't pretend to. You have, but I am told that these Santa Ana winds. I was talking to Chad Benson about it during our crossover. Chad, does the noon to 3 shift, and he lived out there, and he said that these things get up to 70, 80 miles an hour, even stronger gusts at times, and until you've experienced it, you really can't understand the nature of that.
It is crazy. I mean, I have been driving on the 10 and had the gust start and have to pull off the side of the road and park because it was going to turn my pickup truck over. We're talking about a big F-150 loaded down with stuff. That's how powerful it is.
Do you still have friends or people out there, Scarlett?
I do. I have quite a few friends. I was up all night long watching this and contacting them.
How are they?
And seeing if they were okay and sending them to wherever I thought I could send them to help them.
Everybody okay that you've contacted at least?
So far, I mean, a couple of them are pretty sure they've lost their homes. And they're okay. They're very shook up. I'm shook up thinking about it because some of these people, they've lost everything and everything. And I will tell you from when I've gone through it before and when I watched my best friend lose everything, that the Red Cross is of no help to them because my friend went to the Red Cross just to get her medicine replaced when she lost her home, and they wouldn't do anything for her. And FEMA wrote her a $500 check, and she had to fight with her insurance company for 10 years to get a settlement to rebuild her house.
Well, some of these homes, are obviously, and already people are speculating. And Scarlett, God bless you. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the perspective. I appreciate it very much. Many of these people will never be made whole again, materialistically at least. And I don't say that as a negative. Their material possessions, they will never see, obviously, those sentimental or those personal items, and they will never see a recompense equitable to the amount that they've lost, sadly. I'm a little bit surprised, and I'm not wagging fingers. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not fussing at anyone. I'm a little bit surprised at the number of these types. I won't read all of them, but the number of these types of text messages that I've received. California gets what's coming to them. I don't have any love for any of them. That's from 4250. From 6045. Me personally, I'm counting on all of California burning. I'm sad for the citizens and the animals, but they were failed by their crappy state government. Look, I understand that we can point to responsible parties. I understand that we can speculate on the causal factors of all of this. And I once again, I'm not faulting or blaming anybody. But I just want to remind you that it was not a year ago that we were looking at our neighbors in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina who were suffering through a natural disaster, who had lost all of their material possessions. And we found ourselves wondering why the hell the rest of the country doesn't seem to care. I wonder what we would have said if people out in California was like, well, to hell with those redneck rubes. They get what's coming to them. That's what they get for voting for Trump. Is that who we are as a people? That we can't, for a moment. I'm all in on blaming the liberal politicians. I am all in on laying responsibility where it needs to be laid, at the feet where it needs to go to. I'm all about dismissing Karen Bass as mayor of Los Angeles for her actions, and I've laid all of that out. But people, we're going to say that we don't have any empathy for other Americans? These are Americans. Come on, guys. Not most of you, not many of you. but some of you. Steve is real quick. Let's get to you, Steve. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing? I'm in Clarksville right now, but I was born and raised in Tuolumne County, California. We're in the height of the wildfire areas up in between Yosemite and Tahoe. And in summer times of my high school years, I worked for logging outfits. And back then, we would clear cut, and it makes everything from the air look like a checkerboard. And one of the outfits I worked with was Sierra Pacific Industries, and they would clear cut these areas, these massive areas that they clear cut work as fire breaks. And everybody just had a fit, and they would shut us down. They'd call it hoot owl. And that was because of the spotted owl back in the 90s. They stopped clear cutting, and it devastated the area, and these wildfires just go through because you can't. What we would do is we would harvest timber that was go to the sawmills to make, obviously, plywood and 2x4s, but the rest of it would be bulldozed up into piles. They'd burn them out, and then it'd act like a fire break. So the hippies, what we called them, the hippies would have a fit and say that they affected this environment for the wildlife. Well, we weren't killing any wildlife. There's still plenty of acreage out there in the forest to move to. But, I remember one time we were logging the backside of Yosemite. We were coming down the mountain, and they had chained themselves and handcuffed themselves across the road where the log trucks couldn't get down the hill. And California Highway Patrol had to come and cut them out like they were going to save these trees from going to a sawmill.
Wow.
But going back to in my county, I got 2 reservoirs. One is New Maloney's. That's water for the Central Valley. And the other one, that's water for Central Valley, which is irrigation. I know you got to be quick, but the other one is Lake Don Pedro. That's San Francisco water. So my county doesn't even get to drink our water from the 2 reservoirs that we have in Tuolumne County. So what's going on in Los Angeles is, it's ridiculous. They should have plenty of water from Lake Shasta and many other reservoirs. If you look at California from the air, there's no excuse for this mayor to say, well, we don't have enough water down in Los
She's
Angeles.
useless. I mean, she's just, and thank you for the call. I got to scoot along. She's absolutely useless, and she needs to be put out on her hiney. 53 after the hour. We'll wrap things up in just a moment on The Murphy Show on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you about the team of audiologists at Brentwood Hearing Center and the brand new Phonak Sphere device that they want to introduce you to. The leadership team recently attended the launch of this revolutionary new device, and it's pretty incredible. It is dedicated to helping patients like you hear well in situations where there is extensive background noise. The bottom line is this. They have a computer chip completely dedicated to address speech in noise. The Phonak Sphere works. It is a top-of-the-line industry changer when it comes to hearing in crowded settings, in group settings, like a ball game or at a big-time dinner party. Give Brentwood Hearing Center a call and ask them about the Phonak Sphere or any of your other hearing needs at 615-377-0420, 377-0420. You don't have to live without being able to hear. It takes away part of your life. It takes away the joy of your life. Let's get back to life. That's why they say better hearing for a better life happens at Brentwood Hearing Center. Online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's BrentwoodHearingCenter.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Oh, yeah, winding down this edition of the Matt Murphy Show, which I would declare was a better grade than yesterday, probably a B-.
That's pretty good.
B-, maybe C+. I'm trying to be nicer to myself when I grade.
Oh, that's fair.
I mean, mostly it's for you and Ken. I mean, y'all get A's. Me.
Oh, I knew that.
I mean, the knucklehead who's in the studio here, he doesn't get A's. Hey, by the way, speaking of knuckleheads, Shane writes in and says, I just went to the Food Line in Hermitage. They cleaning that place out like it's Russia in 1984. Holy moly. Panic buying has begun. Milk and bread. Come on, people. Be cool, man. Be cool. You don't need all that TP. Just get you what you need. You'll be all right. It'll be here for a few days, and we'll be fine. We're going to break it down tomorrow on the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Don't forget, Dan Mandis bright and early. Then Chris Hand, Chad Benson, and we'll be back at 3. Until then, have a great evening. Mark Levin is up next. So long, everybody.